Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This is the 4th episode of our Lore Olympus series where we are covering episodes 100 to 130, I believe.
Yes, 100 to 130. That covers or takes us from the end of season 1 to about 14 episodes into season 2.
Yeah, so in this video specifically, we don't know if we're going to go over time and have to cover, like, maybe we'll do 20 episodes in this one and then 10 episodes in another one. We don't know how long the discussion is actually going to take, but hopefully we can cover all of the very interesting things that happen in these 30 episodes.
I think we'll be able to do it in one video because not a lot happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, the entire, first 14 episodes of season 2 are kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, and as you'll see on the back, we had all those plots on our mirror, but we had to take them down. Don't worry, they're still here. We're going to try to make sense of all the stuff that is going on.
We've moved on because the amount of plots that we counted could no longer fit with our new tripod and lighting situation. We've moved on to a visual graphical representation of the plots, which we should be able to insert into the video.
Yes.
And obviously, as we go on, that will just become more and more monstrous.
Yeah, it's going to be like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. Right?
It's like trying to catch smoke. Like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands.
So, without further ado, I guess let's just get into it, starting with episode 100. So I think briefly we discussed the events of episode 100 at the end of our last video, where we did talk about how Persephone was launching into her history with Ares now, which, I mean, I feel like it just came out of nowhere.
It did. It felt like Rachel was getting bored of the main ship between Hades and Persephone, and she was like, let me just throw in Ares because I'm getting bored of Hades. Let me just throw in Ares because that would be more interesting.
Yeah, we mentioned that last video, how Hades at this point is just basically Will Graham, and Ares has that Junkrat energy. So, I mean, in the kitchen,
his shirt changes color.
Yeah, his shirt changes color from black to white multiple times, and it's just weird because it's really just an extended scene of them flirting.
It is. It's just a lot of flirting, and somebody actually pointed out, as I was going through this episode, that Persephone gets those flowers on her head that appear when she's usually only talking to Hades. And it's because, uncontrollable growth of vegetation around Persephone at this point is a metaphor for, how interested in a guy she is. And that's why she, exploded a bunch of trees when he turned into his Kronos form that one time. Yeah, remember that?
Okay, so, well, hang on a second, because earlier in the comic, that doesn't really happen.
No, it does happen. Whenever she, gets nervous or excited around Hades, her hair grows really long and she gets a flower crown.
Well, her hair grows really long, and I mean, but the flower crown thing, I don't, no moment really sticks out to me.
It never sticks out. It doesn't stick out, really, but from the way that it was shown, from what was shown as happening when Hades turned to Kronos and he was putting that guy's eyeball back in, at this point, it's a metaphor. It's pretty much a confirmed metaphor.
Okay, so from that point onwards, because I'm trying to think of earlier in the comic, when she's at his house.
It's never really established, but every time she's around him, she has flower crowns.
I mean...
when in the garden scene, for example, she wasn't wearing flower crowns when she showed up. She just had, a single flower in her hair, and then a bunch of flower crowns showed up in the garden scene, I believe.
But I thought that's because she got excited because she was happy about the conversation they were having.
No. It's much more nefarious than that.
Oh no. So I'm gonna have to look back at all the time she has flowers.
Yeah, and realize what that stands for in Rachel's demented mind.
Boy,
yeah, exactly.
Insert sound effect here.
Exactly.
And then you got that creepy visual of Eros
with the button eyes.
Yeah, the button eyes, and it's just the same panel 3 times over and over again.
Yeah, I think episode 70 was when I noticed that a lot of the panels were, it's the same panel, and then you just change minor things about the panel. And that happens a lot in the most recent panels. I do a bunch of breakdowns of the recent episodes on Reddit. And I would say about a quarter of every single episode nowadays is just a copy paste with a few elements changed. It'll be one panel, and then the panel right after is the same panel, but the character is going from this to this. And it's the same, well, not even the hand difference. It's one panel's like this and one panel's like this. And the head doesn't move, it's just the eyes that change.
Okay, so really it's if they're like this, and then they're like this.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's very stilted.
Yeah, that started happening noticeably around episode 70.
Right.
was when I noticed that she started having the copy paste more frequently.
Yeah.
But again, by episode 215, 216, like the modern day Lore Olympus, it's like a quarter of the episode is that, where it's just all of the panels are repastes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, one could argue that if you're on a weekly schedule, you could probably
She
do
has like
that.
5 assistants.
I know, I mean, that's the thing. She's got 5 assistants, because it's like, we tried to do a comic on a weekly schedule, and we never did that.
I've never repasted
No.
an image or a panel in my life.
Yeah, and one might say, like, well, that's on you. Like,
Even when I was doing it by myself.
yeah.
I was doing 50 panels a week,
Yeah.
and I never repasted a single panel.
But yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like somebody might look at that and say, "Well, I mean, that's on you. You should do that, or you should have thought about doing that to make it faster for you. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that."
No, I would argue that there is if it's taking up 25% of the chapter.
Yeah, I mean,
Because it's just poor composition. It makes the art look stiff, and it's also very a lot of times when she has that, it's just like filler. You know,
Yeah.
she'll have like one panel where a character's making one expression, the next panel they're making another expression. And it's like you could have just had the one panel.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have this panel, and then like one sentence of dialogue.
yeah,
Something that's really noticeable is that the dialogue to panel ratio is very inefficient in Lore Olympus. In a lot of panels, there'll just be one sentence. In some panels, there'll be like half a sentence.
right.
And it's like, you could have a conversation. You could have 2 characters and 2 bubbles for this one panel, instead of having one panel for Hades, one panel for Persephone, one panel for Hades, one panel for Persephone.
And in some panels, the sentence isn't even finished. Like that.
No,
one panel
yeah.
before, where
Yeah,
Katie's just
exactly.
Like, huh. Yeah. It's just like, what happened to?
No,
Yeah.
and that's why, like, a chapter will have, like, 65 to 80 panels,
Yeah.
but nothing happens in a single chapter, because
Yeah.
it's like, the panels, like, you can only have a single sentence per panel.
Right.
Like, there's, like, some rule where she will not put more than a single sentence per panel.
Yeah,
And you
that's-
can't accomplish more than, like, a single sentence of a conversation per panel, so it makes it so that 80 panels would go by and nothing really can happen.
Yeah, could you imagine if you were like having a texting conversation with somebody and you could only have like 30 characters per
Yeah,
text message?
That's what it's like. That's what it's like.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
So then, yeah, after we get the zoom in, so we have 2 panels of Persephone copy pasted,
yeah,
and then we have 3 panels of Eros copy pasted with those creepy button eyes.
yeah.
And then we cut to Persephone in the mortal realm, and we don't know how old she is here, but it was in the past, and she's only 19 now. And then Ares falls from the sky, and then a bunch of nymphs come and say that there's a god in the woods. And then I think this is like when you really notice that the nymphs look exactly like Persephone. It's just that they have pointy ears.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned that it's like implied that Hades has like a nymph fetish or something.
Yeah.
Which, again, he's into race play!
No, just specifically flower nymphs. And that's why he likes Persephone.
The pink ones, right?
Yeah, the pink ones. And that's
Yeah.
why he likes Persephone.
So I guess that's why he settled for Minthy. Yeah, pink, red, close enough.
Yeah.
Right? And then, I mean, that's kind of gross. And then I guess also Persephone resembles his mom.
Which is also creepy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just... Why? Why do you have to put that into the comic?
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but the expressions are also getting worse at this point, too.
They're getting very cartoony.
They're starting to look like Cal Art style.
Yeah, the Cal Arts and
It's like not Adventure. I mean, yeah, technically Adventure Time, but
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Steven Universe. The characters are starting to have like the bean mouths, and then like the really like googly eye looks, and then like the really exaggerated cartoony expressions.
Yeah, and this is another set of copy-pasted panels, so the expression changed.
So then the Ares falls from the sky. Persephone's like, well, if we tell Demeter, then she'll just force him to go away. So I'll just go talk to him alone. And she's straightening up her hair and going, it's been so long since I've seen anybody new. But it just comes off like, again, like it just comes off like Persephone's a schemer.
Hey, let me ask you this: if it had been a female god who landed in
That's
the
what I'm
woods,
saying.
do you think
It
she
just
would've
comes
been-
off like she's a schemer, and she's like, instead of it's been so long since I've met anyone new, I wonder who it is. She's like fixing her hair and going like, it's been so long since I've seen anyone
I mean, not only that, but
new.
it's like the way she's like posing while she's walking is very.
That's what I'm saying. It's like she's primping to go meet a male god
Yeah,
because she's friggin' desperate. That's what it comes off as.
it's very strange. I mean, yeah, it's very
And then you get the color changing in the nature here, very obviously from one panel to the next. It goes from teal to like olive again.
Yeah.
And then the panel where she gets to Ares is like pure olive and yellow.
I guess that's because Ares' colors wouldn't have looked as good against the teal, but I'm not
No,
sure.
it would have looked good because it's gold. Teal and gold would have looked really good.
I guess I would have to see what it looks like with those new colors, or like with the typical colors, right? But
I think teal teal and green
yeah.
are pretty much neutral in that they look good with most colors.
Yeah, and I think for the lighting of the scene, it would have looked better if instead of having the lighting in the background, just the god rays shining on him.
I know.
Because there's some god rays, but I mean, really the lighting's all over the place, and he looks like he's floating above the ground. Like his cape is just completely floating above the ground.
Yeah.
You can even see the shadow underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's floating there, so...
But anyway, and then she sees Ares impaled on a tree, and then she says they could have mentioned he was injured, and she looks disappointed.
Oh, he's not conscious to see how beautiful I am.
Exactly.
Yeah, so she pokes him with a stick for some reason. And then she pokes his nose. And then he wakes up and he thinks she's a nymph. And then she shows that she doesn't have nymph ears. And then he's like, he's being quirky Ares. And how did he get T-boned on that tree? I mean, he fell from the sky.
Yeah.
Who did he get ringed out of, like Olympus or something? I mean,
I don't know why he fell from the sky. They never explained that.
Yeah, and she says, "You do seem to be in a pickle," and it's like, yeah, again, good question. Did you just refer to my major organs being shanked as a pickle? And so
nobody in this universe takes violence seriously, and then the nature goes right back to teal in the next panel.
Yeah, but that's the end of the chapter where she's like fixing to use her powers on the tree. The branch that he was impaled on, and she just makes it disappear. I don't know how that...
Episode 101. Yeah, she just makes it disappear. Her powers are never spelled out.
What would have been better is if vines wrapped around him and gently lifted him off the tree.
No, like her powers are never spelled out. I have no idea what she can and can't do.
Yeah.
Just like everything else. And then in the modern Lord Olympus, it's like nobody has powers except when it's like, oh yeah, they have powers because they're gods.
I mean, like, okay.
It's very, like, convenient as to when they use their powers and when they don't.
No, but I mean, let's think about this. If she was going to meet Ares in the woods and have like some demonstration of her powers, because also through doing this she heals him somehow without realizing it, right? Even though she just made the tree disappear, she didn't do anything to him, but somehow he got healed too.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I were to show that she secretly has this healing ability, I wouldn't have made him get impaled on a tree, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
I would have just made him have injuries from landing on the ground.
No, I would have had, because he says he goes to the mortal realm to fight battles.
Yeah.
Give him battles from war, or injuries from war.
Yeah.
And have him hiding out in the woods to recuperate, and then the flower nymphs come upon him. They're like, no men are allowed on our lands. And then they're like, some disgusting man who's like dying of his injuries is in our woods. And then Persephone's like, dying of his injuries? Well, I can't just let him die.
Exactly.
I don't care if he's a trespasser or not. I'm gonna go help him.
Exactly.
And that would also make her look like a nice person, because right now she never looks like a nice person.
She just seems like,
everyone's
mad.
like Persephone's so nice, and it's like she's not nice at all.
No,
she's never doing anything that's out like selfless.
Yeah, she brought him some food in a basket.
Yeah,
and then
she's like, let me look at your injuries and like try to help you.
Yeah, and she could have been like Isla Crown from
Lightlark
and given him a healing salve for his injuries or something. Because does it come back into play that she can heal people?
No.
Because she gets cut earlier and then Apollo heals her then.
Yeah.
But if she can, and Ares makes a big deal out of it, he goes, oh, she healed me. But
she's a fertility goddess.
She doesn't seem to realize that she could heal me.
She's a fertility goddess.
It's so interesting. And it's like, I mean, is Apollo a fertility goddess? Because he healed her. I don't think he's a fertility goddess.
It's so stupid because this came out of nowhere. Again, it's like it wasn't thought of until the episode was created. Yeah. She was like, oh, how do I have Ares know that she's a fertility goddess? Oh, let's have him be healed and be like, only a fertility goddess can do this.
That has nothing to do with fertility.
And it wasn't, and it also wasn't shown.
No.
It was never shown because Apollo, like you said, has healing powers, and that has nothing to do with him being a fertility god.
Yeah, and so the tree disappears and he falls onto the ground and calls her a stupid effing village girl. And she looks a lot like Hera in these panels for some reason. And then she gets all teary-eyed. And he says, don't cry. He chases after her. But not before he realizes that she healed his wound. And then he says, a fertility goddess hasn't been born in years. Man, Apollo must be a fertility goddess.
I know, right?
Takes, right? And
then she's sneaking around in the mortal realm the next day, and they even say like the next day, which is like, just have it be a few days, dude. Like, why do you have to announce every time there's a time skip?
Yeah, that's very distracting.
And the other thing is, in this panel she has a book and a bag, and then in the next panel she whips out a blanket from nowhere. Like, the more there are art assistants, the more panel to panel there's so many inconsistencies. It's just worth pointing out that it's like, Again, there's like 3 panels here. In every single panel, she looks totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. And the nature looks totally different too.
And it doesn't even look like one is taking place sequentially after the
I mean,
other.
look at this. Like, she's got her books in her bag, and then she spreads a blanket. You don't see the blanket hitting the ground. And this is when you start to have the curse of the navel up composition, where it's like, there's no ground. No ground is allowed to be shown. So we don't even know if these characters have feet or if they have like tentacle legs. And then the panel after that, like, what is she doing? What is this SpongeBob expression?
Her arms are 2 totally different lengths.
And then there's a couple panels of her in the bush, and it says check in, but it's spelt wrong, like misspelled. And she's like just looking around, and it's so cartoony, and I don't know why she's looking around.
And I don't know what she's looking at. Like, what is that?
That's just nature. Shots of nature.
It doesn't look like nature. This one looks like nature, but this looks like a totally different location.
It does. The lighting and the colors are totally different.
The trees.
The clouds.
Yeah.
Totally different. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, why she's looking around, because she's not doing anything bad.
No.
She's just reading a book. And eating an apple or eating a peach.
Well, her bag and her book suddenly appear again on the blanket.
But then her bag disappears in the next shot.
Yeah. And if she looked around and double-checked, where did Ares come from?
I don't know.
She didn't see him when she was surveying the land, and then she makes another strange expression in the leave me alone.
No,
thing.
and when Ares shows up, this is when you start to have the curse of the UwU faces, where all the faces start looking extremely deformed for funny sake, and it looks horrible. It's so off-putting. It's so bad. Like, what is this art style? It doesn't look like anime. It doesn't look like a cartoon. It just looks horrible.
No, it's very
horrible.
jarring.
It's horrible. And then her face, oh my god, this is the fish face. This is the beginning of the fish face that has cursed us. Did you know that the latest free episode of Lore Olympus is 20% of this? 20% of the episode is these faces.
No,
yes.
no.
20% of the episode is these horrific stylized faces.
Oh, man.
And like, this is episode 101. I don't remember it being this present in the comic before this episode.
She looks...
You just read episodes 0 to 100 for the first time. Do you remember the expressions being this bad, this frequently?
No, I don't...
Like, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's like...
The art style suddenly changed.
It's like the art style suddenly changed, but also the atmosphere and the tone changed a lot, because this kind of stuff has no place with the composition and like the dynamicism that you would see earlier.
It has no place with the art style.
No.
The art style is like a 2D watercolor, and all of a sudden we have like friggin' Steven Universe facial expressions.
It would be like if you started seeing like moe chibi stuff in like
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, or something.
Like,
you know?
what the heck? The Final Fantasy VII remake. All of a sudden, Cloud turns into a chibi. No, turns into a PS1 version to emote.
Like, could you imagine? Just pick 2 series that are diametrically opposed. And...
Death Note and Hatalia Axis Powers.
Yeah, and you'd be like, what?
And the biggest thing is it wasn't in the comic from the start.
No.
These faces were not in the original art. Episode 0 to 50, which is the best art.
No, when people would make goofy expressions earlier, they would retain the same proportions of their faces.
It would be like DreamWorks.
Yeah.
DreamWorks, they have like goofy over-the-top expressions and like Road to El Dorado.
In a rowboat. You got it. Great. Sensational. And that's your plan, is it? That's pretty much it? Well, I like it. So, how do we get on deck?
But their faces don't get deformed. This is like horrible. This is
distracting.
not even chibi. It's just like I was too lazy to draw a correct face, so I'm just gonna draw a joke face.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like way easier to draw a joke face. And then if anyone goes like, this joke face is ugly, you can be like, oh, it's a joke face. It's not supposed to be attractive.
Yeah, the Marvel excuse, right?
The Marvel excuse,
It's
exactly.
a comedy. Don't criticize it. Yeah.
So then she says, leave me alone, and then you cut to the bag on the ground with a bunch of raindrops around it.
Yeah.
I guess this is supposed to be the bag falling, but the bag, like, the strap isn't up, you know, like, if you were to draw the bag falling, you draw the bag, like, hitting the ground in one corner, the strap coming up, motion lines around the strap.
Or a sound effect
Or
at the very least, right?
No, I mean, like, it's just on the ground.
Yeah.
In the next panel, it's just on the ground with raindrops around it. Like, it's so bad.
And he says, come on, don't leave. If anyone can understand you, it's me. What are you talking about, understand you?
No, but look at how different she looks in these two panels.
Yeah, she looks totally
different. Between one panel and the next.
Yeah, and then she asks him, what are you talking about? And that's a reuse, because the braid in her hair is the exact same.
It is,
between
yeah,
those
it's a
two.
reuse panel.
So, And he goes, "You're Demeter's daughter, right? You must be." And she says, "Corey, my name is Corey." "Great, I'm Ares. You were raised here in the moral realm, correct? More or less." And he's like huge all of a sudden. He's way taller.
Yeah, he's
than
way
her.
taller than her.
And he goes, "I too have spent an isolating amount of time here in this hellhole." And again, comedy, like, coming out of nowhere. "I still fail to see, hey, get your meat mitts off my stuff." I mean, what's the point of this interaction? He said, like, he was talking about his backstory, and then all of a sudden he's eating her apples.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then he goes back to how he's helping in the wars. And then he says, "My dad's ashamed of me." And she goes, "Oh, that's terrible. I mean, why is she being nice to him?"
No,
all of a
but then
sudden?
what's this panel where she looks off to the side? It's like a zoom in of the previous panel.
Yeah.
And the DPI, like, the graphical integrity is really low.
Zoom in and enhance.
Zoom in and enhance. And then she just looks off to the side. And, like, I swear to God, this is like the beginning of the modern lore Olympus.
Yeah.
Because in the modern lore Olympus, I kid you not, 25% of every chapter is this. It's like panel, and then zoom in, the character says nothing, just looks to a different direction. It's like, is this supposed to be funny? What is this? Like, every panel should have a purpose. What purpose does this panel serve? It serves no purpose.
No.
What is the point of this panel? Why would you just cut to her looking off to the side? Like, you know what it feels like? It feels like the creator is writing this as she's drawing it, and she drew the panel previously where she had Ares, where she had Persephone going like, "Oh, that's terrible."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I don't know what to draw next. So, okay, I'll just draw the same panel and have her looking off to the side."
Yeah, because she knows there has to be something there.
There has to be something there.
It's like when you think of the interaction in your head, and this is why you have to do thumbs and sketches.
This is why you have to have a script.
Yeah, because
You have to have a script, because if you don't know what your character's going to say next,
Yeah.
then you just start padding and stalling.
Yeah, because you have to have pacing. Like, there needs to be something that happens between when she says that's terrible and then offers him some of the lunch. But
No, she could have just been like, "That's terrible. Would you like some of my lunch?"
Well, no, because I think from a pacing perspective, because she yells, "Would you like some of my lunch?" which is odd. But I think from a pacing perspective, because she thinks this guy's annoying, and then he tells her, and then she goes, "Oh, that's terrible." And
Well,
then
okay,
to kind of be nice, she can go like, "That's terrible," and then she looks at her lunchbox. You show the lunchbox, and then she offers. Like, you could have shown her looking at the lunchbox,
Or you could
right?
have her say like, "Oh, that's terrible," in this panel before. And then in the next one, she would look at her lunch or pick it up and be like, "Would you like some of my lunch?"
Exactly.
You don't even need a pause between the two. Just combine the friggin' speech bubble so you don't have O being its own panel, because that's
Right.
pointless.
Oh.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, like, we're harping on this just because this is, like, the problem with modern day lore Olympus, and I think
Yeah.
episode 101 is, like, the worst example. And you can start to see that modern lore Olympus comes all the way from this episode.
It's a sign of things.
Because I think this is the first time where you're noticing that the paneling and all of that is really bad.
Yeah, because in previous ones, I mean, we could just blitz through them without saying too much of anything about the specific paneling, but like panel by panel, like what the heck is going on here? Why would you do that? And we were talking more so about the actual events that take place in the chapters. But now this chapter is like, why would you do that?
Well, I feel like in general, like just going back to a macro outlook of the chapters that we read, episodes 100 to 130,
Yeah.
I feel like the story slammed on the brakes.
Oh yeah.
Because for about 15 chapters, when they're looking for Persephone in the underworld, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Like, I couldn't even tell you. We were talking about having a plot graph. I was like, okay, we have to take the plots off from the mirror, because I could not tell you, and I read this like a day ago, I could not tell you what the plots that were introduced, like what plots were introduced from episodes 100 to 130. I can't tell you because it all just mushes together because nothing happened.
And none of them are important.
None of it is important.
Yeah.
Ares' backstory, not important because he disappears for the next 30 chapters.
And then he shows up like dressed as a horse. Like,
Yeah,
later,
oh my
like-
god, why? Apollo, he just goes and gets another freaking liar. Like, good to go, or good job, Persephone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like,
Dude,
what can you say?
It really is the roll of toilet paper at that point.
It is.
I'll just go and get another.
Oh, I didn't even notice it was missing, but now that you mentioned it, okay, let me just go get another one.
Exactly.
So then Persephone offers the lunch. I won't say no. Your wound healed really fast. That's lucky. She has no idea she healed me. Interesting. And that is another copy paste. And the next one's another copy paste too. And then Ares pretends like he can't read so that he can get Persephone to teach him. Because Persephone is like alternately either really smart and cunning or like really stupid and gullible, depending on how the story needs to go. She's either really cunning or really gullible. So then Persephone offers to teach him, and you get this horrific face.
Oh god.
It's so weird, so bad. I've never seen such a weird expression in this comic until this chapter.
Dragon Ball Z.
Have you seen this expression in this comic until this chapter?
I can't even make that expression. Like, I don't even want to try.
It looks like the joke expressions from Fairy's Landing.
Yeah, Fairy's Landing, or like some old obscure manga. And she's got that super shiny like Detective Conan eyes in that one.
That's what I'm saying. Like the art style for the expressions is totally different.
Yeah.
In this episode, it's totally different to the point that it's like I don't even know if like I would be surprised if Rachel thumbed this episode because it's so different from the previous ones.
Yeah.
Like the expressions are just suddenly so cartoony. Like, did she start watching like hardcore 90s anime before this or something?
It looks like it because, I mean, her hair looks very, like, fluffy and anime in some of these panels.
Yeah, it looks like 90s anime.
Yeah. She spends more time with Ares, it looks like, than with Hades. Because they do, like, they spend a week together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they spend a week together. She teaches him how to read. Yeah, they spend a lot more time than Hades and Persephone ever did. Ares wants to kiss her, so then she decides to, and then realizes that he has a planner, and then realizes that he was lying to her, and then, again, like, the paneling is so weird. You cut to Demeter in the middle of the frame doing nothing, just standing there from the navel up, like an NPC who does nothing unless she's, like, activated by the main character.
Like the guards in Oblivion.
Yeah, like, she just stands there, smiling vacantly, looking off into the distance until somebody else calls her name.
Body's still warm. Looks like there's a killer about.
Stop! You violated
Exactly,
the law.
it's crazy.
But, I mean, the planner thing is just so convenient and weird.
I mean, she said she hooked up with Ares, but she barely kissed him.
Yeah, I mean, but again, the planner thing is extremely weird. Like,
Yeah, like he would have a planner with all that chaotic energy.
No, not only that, but he didn't have a bag in any of the previous scenes. And what
No.
does he have a yearly planner for?
That's what I'm saying.
What is that for?
I
Like,
mean,
you couldn't have, like, a detailed list of instructions that he wrote down for the war, like a map of the war with his writings on
Or
it or
reports.
something? Or reports? A yearly planner? Really? For the god of war? Like, what?
he doesn't seem the type to have a yearly planner.
No.
But reports, I could, yeah, like reports.
Battle formations?
Or even if you wanted to make it like a joke, you could have like a freaking pulp fiction novel in his bag.
It could be like a warring, like, Harlequin romance novel about
Yeah, something like that.
About, like, a strong, brave warrior
Yeah.
or something. With his, like, writing in it. Like, this is so cool or
Mhm.
something. The planner is just a weird choice. But yeah, then Demeter, and then she calls, and then maternal panic, and the panic thing is so strange. Like,
It is really weird.
masculine panic, maternal panic. What does that mean?
It's Tumblr phrases. Corey, let me explain. She's mad. And then,
But when she's mad, she's got flowers in her hair again.
yeah, previously when she was mad, she had, like red vines in her hair.
Yeah, when he says, "Do you want to make out?" She's got the same flowers in her hair as she does right now.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And so he says it's not what it looks like, and then he makes a weird face again, and he goes, "Okay, it's exactly what it looks like. I was gonna tell you eventually. ... Say something, would you? Anything?" And then she screams for her mom.
And then she cries to Demeter, but then blows Ares a kiss, which just makes me hate friggin' Persephone so much.
Yeah,
I hate her so much.
that's so odd.
She, like, has no personality. She's just, like... And then she's even laughing while Demeter is about to stab him.
She's got her arm back.
And the composition here is so bad. Like, compared to earlier chapters, it's so bad.
It's so straight.
It's so
She's
weird.
looking straight into the camera.
Straight into the camera.
with that angry, like...
No, but it's also blank. It's a blank expression.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so much empty space.
Yeah.
Like, in the newest episodes, each panel, like, I would say 40% of each panel is empty space. And this panel looks exactly like something that would be in New Lower Olympus, because it's, like, the majority of this panel is empty.
Yeah.
There's nothing to focus on. There's, like, no hills, no mountains, no greenery that's, like, defined or distinct. It's just the characters really standing in a void and then, like, you know,
Another thing
blankly staring into the camera.
from, like,
Why is she so far away from the camera?
Yeah, that too. It's odd. But another thing that's strange from, like, a narrative perspective is we're seeing, like, how come she didn't think of what would Demeter, like, what would Mother do in a situation like this with Apollo, and then think about how she beat the crap out of Ares? Because that's actually doing something.
Because Rachel didn't think about this chapter
Yeah.
at that point in time.
And then another thing,
She didn't plan that far.
Persephone seems to, like, hate being coddled by her mom, and she hates being, like, told what she can and can't do.
But she uses it to her advantage.
And she goes, Mom, this smelly man is bothering me. She goes, okay, wait inside, Corey. She goes, okay, Mama. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna say, like, oh, but I can't do anything because my mom is just so, like, oppressive, you guys. And it's like, what is this? I understand it's supposed to be, like, funny, like, you know, kind of like hee hee ha ha.
But it's not.
You know, it's not.
It's not funny.
It's inconsistent. Like,
it's totally inconsistent character-wise. It's really annoying, and it makes her come off like a totally manipulative, like, jerk.
Yeah.
If she wasn't bothered by it and she blew him a kiss, then why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And then why did you cut to her, like, angry eyebrows?
Yeah, it's not like she's, like, a vengeful person.
Yeah,
in the main story.
Because when it came to, like, Apollo freaking assaulting her, she just cut one string of his lyre, but when it came to Ares lying about not being able to read...
Actually, you know, it is consistent with one other thing.
What?
I would have stayed if you weren't so rude.
Exactly! It's like she's only petty and, like, mean when the person can't fight back.
Yeah.
It's like, if she could get Hades to kill Apollo, she would have done it.
Yeah.
But because she had to do it, she had no, like, spine to do it. But, like when it's somebody who can't fight back, and somebody who's, like, totally at her mercy, and somebody else is doing the dirty work, she's, like, evil to her core.
Yeah, like...
rotten jerk person.
The glass bones and paper skin
Yeah,
guy.
but when it's somebody who's, like, actually could pose a threat to her, and she's the one who has to do the work herself, she's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. This is too much for me.
Yeah, so then we cut back to the present, and Eris is like, okay, that was boring and not what I thought it would be.
That was a waste of my time.
That was a waste of time. It was basically like a giant cliffhanger.
No, it was basically a giant detour that doesn't matter to the story at all.
Yeah, it's like...
It has no insight. Like, if you're going to do a flashback, it should either be an insight into the character that informs their future actions, which this did not do. It has to establish a future plot point, which this did not do. No. Or it sets up an aspect of, like, the world building, or something else that comes into play later, like if it was to explain the magic system, which would come into the plot later, or like the MacGuffin, which would come into the plot later, but this doesn't do that either. No. So it's like an example of a good flashback that accomplishes those things would be like the flashback in Breaking Bad, when he cuts to when he used to work for that startup, and when he met his wife Skylar, because that gives you an insight into his character and what Walter White's life was like before he got cancer and decided to make methamphetamine. And it gives insight into his character and his, I guess, his psychology, because he has a grudge against his former partner, which motivates his actions in the present, because he feels like his partner at the startup deserved or got undeserved glory that Walter White should have had. You know, so that informed his actions in the present. It gave you insight into his character, and that event in his life directly impacted the events unfolding in the present. But that Ares scene, like, it basically, the only thing that came from that Ares scene is that he knew she was a fertility goddess, but, you know, for the next 30 chapters, he's not even in the story. No. And the fact that he knows that she's a fertility goddess has no impact on the story.
No, not only that, but it calls into question a lot of other things, right? Like, it calls into question how she feels about her mom, which has been, like, a big point of contention earlier. It also calls into question why was Ares so upset with Zeus and Aphrodite when he screwed around with Persephone.
Oh, yeah, that too.
While he was in a relationship with Aphrodite, because he had a child with her.
Yep.
So... what's that about? And so it's like in Lost, right? Yeah. First, the flashbacks in Lost did what you were talking about, where they talked about, like, they informed the character, they told you what their lives were like before they got on the island, and then they started having flashbacks where it's like, what does this have to do with anything? And if that happened to you back then, why are you being such an idiot right now? Exactly. Or why did you do that other thing that you did in that previous episode?
The best flashbacks in Lost were, like, Locke's flashbacks, because they told you about his character and, like, all of the suffering that he had to get to make him believe that he was special, and that motivated his actions in the current present day.
Yeah.
Look, I've been preparing for this for years. Just put me on the bus right now. I can do this.
No, you can't.
Hey, don't you walk away from me.
And then also the episodes that had to do with the island's mystery, like the Desmond flashback episode.
And then I also really like the Hurley flashbacks
Yeah.
because they were very surreal.
And then built up the island mythos.
Yeah.
Jackpot drawing 4, 8, 15, 16, and 23 with the mega number 42.
And then Sawyer had some good flashbacks too, because his flashbacks, you know, you take a character who's like disliked and antagonistic, and then you show how they became like that.
Yeah, and you give the character some depth, and you show like his motivations,
Yeah.
and show his side of the story.
Don't come out. No matter what happens, don't come out, okay?
But then when you start having flashbacks, like Jack getting a tattoo,
Yeah.
it's like nobody cares about Jack's tattoos.
Yeah.
You know?
They have nothing to do with the story, they have nothing to do with his character.
Exactly.
It doesn't impact how he's acting, like, in the current day at all.
Angel hair pasta.
Yeah, stupid.
I want to know the story behind that. Show me a flashback about that episode, man.
But yeah, I mean, like, that was just a totally pointless flashback, and I feel like it was just fan service or creator wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Where she was, like, bored of the Hades and Persephone relationship.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to give, like, a second option.
Yeah.
And then show Persephone being, like, sassy, even though it doesn't match her character at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't match her character at all.
And Rachel is trying to add some weight to the flashback because following that, she explains to Eros, I do wish I hadn't lost my temper and told on him. I lost any alone time privilege I had after that. But previously she was reminiscing about how she was never alone. And she grabbed Hades' hand and she's like, I'm used to having somebody's hand to hold.
Yeah, in the previous time this came up, when she was giving her a tour around the facilities.
Yeah.
She was talking about how great it was to constantly be in the mortal realm surrounded by other flower nymphs.
And like falling asleep together.
Yeah,
holding
under the
hands.
stars.
And all of a sudden now she's like, I don't have any alone time. Finally alone. That's very out of character. And so then the tiny cake, I guess, is for Hades, right? That's the implication.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember if it goes anywhere.
Me neither.
I don't. Like, it's a blank.
It's like the lost.
Yeah.
The memory is gone.
The memory's gone.
Yeah. So then we cut to Hades.
Oh, feeding a child.
Again, that's a zoom in panel though. That's a zoom in enhance of his face again. Now I can't stop seeing it, man.
Of course it is. It's so annoying, and it keeps happening.
Yeah.
It keeps happening, and like it started happening around episode 70 when like half the panels are now just repaste, and it's like nothing happens. Like you didn't have to show this panel. This panel is pointless.
Yeah.
And then Persephone enters, and then you realize that it's Hades and Persephone's kids.
It's like a dream sequence.
It's a dream sequence, and then this is right after she told him, she asked for boundaries. He's like guilt tripping because he's like, but I imagine a future life with this woman that I've not even dated.
Hades would sound like extremely nasally.
Yeah, he would, because he's so whiny.
Yeah.
How is he holding the phone like this? What is that supposed? Is that supposed to be a thumb?
I think it's supposed to be like this, right? Except with this hand, like this, right?
But that's not how your thumb looks when you hold a phone like that. I thought that was his pinky finger for a
It's like
second.
holding it like this, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was his pinky finger for a second. It looks very unnatural.
Yeah.
It looks like they drew the phone first and then drew his hand around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird that these characters are just constantly thinking about each other all the time. 'Cause
They have
in real
nothing
life-
else. They have nothing else in their life going on.
Yeah, real life, people think about other stuff too.
Especially because he's the CEO of the Underworld Corporation.
Yeah, and so he's thinking about his feelings for her. Again, this is a really long look into Hades' mental state. Right?
Yeah, and it's pointless because it's the same thing over and over. It's like, oh, why do I love her so much? Like, after the boundaries talk, like, why does it feel like we broke up even though we were never together?
Yeah.
I hate that she has to be the one to keep me in check. Like, shut up, Hades. Just write an album already.
Yeah. We get a nice panel of him picking his nose in the kitchen.
Oh, you know, this is the one panel, I think, where Persephone wears pants.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, where she becomes the bitter shrew. I don't want
She
her...
doesn't look like herself.
I don't want her to hate me for what happened to her. Yeah, she looks like Demeter in this panel.
Yeah.
Because Demeter is evil because she doesn't like men, and because she stands up for herself, and she always wears pants. Like, the only women who consistently wear pants in this comic are, like, not good people.
Well, Hecate's a good person. She wears pants.
Oh, that's true. That's the only one.
But she's, like, not interested in men. Like, if you have, like outward display of, like, sexuality or romantic inclination, you're not allowed to wear pants, man.
Yeah, like, Hecate's almost, like, not even coded as a female character.
I mean, a lot of people say that she's, like, asexual.
That's what it comes off as.
No, I mean, I think that's, like, canon.
Or
something.
androgynous.
Yeah, androgynous or asexual. It's like, dude, women can wear pants and still be interested in men. I mean, like...
No, but like all the shrew characters wear
Yeah.
pants except for Hecate.
Yeah.
And Hecate is basically coded as like, you know,
Not interested.
asexual
Yeah.
/ androgynous.
Yeah.
I spent a lifetime acting like I don't want relationships or children. It's just easy to say no to those things before they can say no to me. This guy's so whiny, dude.
Yeah.
The more, maybe Rachel got sick and tired of writing him because she's like, he's so whiny. Let me just throw in Aries because Hades is so whiny.
He's like a rain cloud.
Oh yeah, and then this is when he says like, I can't even have kids, so how am I gonna bring that up? I'm just gonna let somebody else tell her that.
Apollo.
I'm just gonna let the Olympus rumor mill tell her that I can't have kids, which is like, what a jerk. You know, like he's just dodging responsibility any way he can.
But why would you cut to like these 3 panels of him being at a party when he's in his kitchen and imagining this? Like in previous chapters we would have gotten like a visual, like with the wine spilling everywhere, of like a face and profile, a whisper coming out, going through like that, and then cut to him back in the kitchen thinking about it, right? But this is like, are we at a party now? Because it doesn't even look like visually, stylistically.
No,
like a flashback.
there's no style. In episode 100, by episode 100, the old Lore Olympus style is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible. And then Hades says there's no natural sunlight for you, which is probably crucial to a goddess of spring. No, that never comes up ever. She never complains about the lack of sunlight or the lack of vegetation.
Another type.
And then basically this entire chapter is pointless. It's just Hades whining.
Yeah.
Whining about being rich but not having kids. Hey, did you see that the text is over his hands?
I just saw that now. Oh man, I did not do that in my comic. I was very careful not to do that. In fact, I found typos in the letter that I put in the first chapter because of spacing issues when I copy pasted the text in. I so badly wanted to go back and fix it.
This is another, I think this is the 4th episode of Hades whining internally. Is it not?
No, it is.
It is.
And
And
it feels so repetitive. It's starting to feel like whenever Apollo shows up.
it is.
That's what it's starting to feel like. It's like, shut up, dude. Nobody gives a crap.
Or whenever Persephone and Hades talk.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Over and over.
I'm also from Sicily. I can't sleep.
Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's not weird. You're not weird. I'm not. You're kind of weird. Oh, I guess we could be weird together. Shut up!
You think I'm powerful? You're absolutely terrifying.
I would pay you to be terrifying and not sleep and be from Sicily.
And then this chapter ends with him texting Minty. But yeah, I mean, no wonder I forgot the plot of these 30 episodes,
Yeah.
because there's so many episodes where nothing happens like this. Just Hades whining.
Yeah.
So the last episode ended with Hades going, oh, after whinging about Persephone for like 60 panels, he's like, oh, I should probably break up with Minty. And then we have this episode from Minty's perspective. I need to apologize. Anyway, jeez. Anyway, and then we cut to Minty having a meltdown after she slapped Hades. And then it's just a bunch of hands in the void. I guess Minty and Hecate.
I thought it was Hades at first. Because
No.
that's the Hades color.
It is the
At the
Hades
top.
color, because Hades is like blue and Hecate is like teal.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's like silhouettes. Minty says, I don't know why I did it. And then she wants to apologize to Hades, and then they intersperse this flashback with like context-less panels of Minty like in the void with her hands on a block. And she's like crying, but I don't know where she is and like what she's doing.
It's extra confusing because it's the same panel.
It's the same panel, and then they just keep closing up on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why she's just crying in this void room while she's like thinking about what happened. But Hecate basically just says, go home, and whether or not you're fired will be determined by Hades. Oh, I guess she's in Thetis's place, but like the block disappeared in the panel where Thetis comes in, and Thetis says, you know, you need to get over it. You'll work it out. It's not a big deal that you slapped Hades.
It's not Thetis' place, it's her place, because she goes, why'd you come over?
Oh.
Yeah. But, I mean, not like you could tell anyway. 'Cause
No, it's a featureless void
it's just
room.
a void.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody's gonna fix your problems for you, so stop sitting on your ass and moping. Thetis' body totally changed here, by the way.
Yeah.
She suddenly has the body type of Persephone.
Yeah.
Then Thetis drags her out.
So then they reveal this is when they're doing the phone thing.
Yeah, this is really weird. This brought a lot of questions up, because when we read this for the first time, the episode where Thetis sends the pics to Hera. Oh, let me quickly find it.
That's before the slap.
It's before the slap. Because nothing happens with the nudes. Nothing happens.
Yeah, so when did the nudes get sent?
82? Because she looks angry.
It's 82.
82. So this is after the slap.
Yeah.
Okay, so never mind. I mean, it's just effing confusing.
Yeah.
Because everything blends together. Because this episode starts with her sending the nudes.
Why wouldn't you cut back to Hecate and Minty talking?
Yeah, I mean, this is
episode
episode 82, and it comes up again in episode 103, like literally 20 episodes later. Like, remember when she sent the nudes and nothing happened between Hera and Zeus because of that? We're gonna show you the origin of that action, but it's like, why would you reverse, like, and go back to that moment in time when it doesn't impact anything? It doesn't affect anything that she sent the nudes to Hera. Nothing changes. No plot happens because of that. It's not a significant moment in the timeline, so why would you go all the way back to that?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
It's like such a strange thing because this took place previously as well. So we start the episode with previously on Lower Olympus with Hecate and Minty talking, and then we see another flashback where it's immediately after the slap, and then what we cut to after that is another flashback as far as the events in the story because it's flashing back to when she sent the nudes. And
but it's a little bit further along the timeline after Hecate escorted her out of the building.
Yeah, but
it's really confusing. Yeah, it's really confusing because it's all in the past.
Yeah,
it's really confusing because it's all in the past. Because in between the slap and episode 103, the slap was in episode 72, and this is episode 103. In between that, we only got like a couple panels with Minty and Thetis sending the nudes. There was no Minty-centric chapter until episode 103. And in between, we've gotten friggin' Hades and Persephone's boundary talk. Ares shows up for no reason and advances no plot. So, like, at that point, it's like, why even include Ares? You could have skipped Ares entirely and had this thing with Minty.
Yeah.
And then the gardening scene happened after that. The pointless Hera chapter. Why did Hera need to have her own background chapter? It doesn't affect the story at all.
All the stuff with Apollo happened, too.
Yeah. All of those things are pointless. Like, Hera's backstory affects the story not at all. Yeah. It's like we were saying earlier, where it's like a flashback has to have a purpose. The Hera flashback has no purpose.
Yeah, so all that happens at the end of this chapter is they go to a club. Minty's treated like crap by everybody.
Yeah, because they all know what she did.
Yeah, and it's disproportionate because, I mean, you have Zeus who's going around cheating all the time. He doesn't get any of that, but I guess it's because he's a king.
No, but let's rewind to Thetis and the sending the nudes. Like, she goes in depth in how she did it. But
got a burner phone.
I don't care. Yeah. No, it's not important.
No.
It doesn't matter.
No.
How she did it, it doesn't matter. We just assume.
Nobody was wondering how
we just
did
assume
that.
she got a burner phone and sent it to Hera. It doesn't matter.
That's pretty much what the box in the beginning of that chapter
implies.
implies.
I mean, she sleeps with Zeus. She could have just used his phone to find Hera's phone number.
It's not like it's important that Hera's phone number is in the records.
It's not like it's important that she even sent the freaking nudes.
No.
Then, yeah, as you were saying, they go out and everyone's treating Minty like crap. And then it's really weird because she walks past the bar and she says, like, it says, like, you're a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when characters start hallucinating, like in that episode of the X-Files where everyone starts hallucinating, like, do it now or whatever.
Yeah.
Over here you got a couple engine mounts that should be replaced.
And then, but usually when that happens, they cut to what it actually says. And so the bar never cuts to what it actually says.
No, because they actually have that there.
So all I can assume is that that's what it actually says.
And everybody who walks by...
Everybody who walks by is like, what?
Yeah.
I'm a piece of crap?
Exactly.
Huh? Why is this bar insulting me?
Exactly.
And even the bartender looks mad at her.
Yeah.
Like, they never show you that it's all in her head.
No.
They show her, like, walking past and says, you're crap. And then she blinks. But then they never show you what it actually says.
No, because that's what it actually says, because everybody hates her. But it's not because she is, like, a nymph, and this is, like, nymph racism. It's
is that really... You think that's what it really actually says?
That's how I took it. I didn't even, like, waste a thought thinking she was hallucinating. I legitimately thought, in this dummy comic for dummy children... That's what the bartender would do. Not, like, because it's a dumb idea written by a person who isn't thinking, wait a second, there's other people in the bar. It's like, no, this is the only character in the bar because I don't know what I'm writing. And, like, that's that.
Man, I thought it was because she was, like, consumed with guilt, because she's acting like she's really guilty.
No.
But then you're right, because then other people, like, start glaring at her.
Yeah, everyone's
mad at her.
It's like, it's honest to God, like being the main character in a video game and all the NPCs are mad at you. Like when Fallout, when you have a lot of negative karma and people just start killing you.
No, but that doesn't make any sense because people are scared of Hades and they don't like Hades because he's a slaver.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't they be like, yeah, go girl, you slapped Hades.
Especially
you showed him what for.
None of these people are gods.
No,
you
they're
know?
all lower class like creatures, like nymphs.
And only one other person was scared of Hades for plucking out the eyeball.
Yeah.
And none of them are just like, man, you must have some real guts to slap the guy who pulled the guy's eyeball out.
No, they'd be like, good on you for slapping the guy who like beat a photographer within an inch of his life just for photographing Persephone, his newest squeeze.
Exactly.
Like, if anything, if they're supposed to all hate her and like everyone's like lives revolve around Hades apparently, if anything, I would expect people to feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Instead of like, and she would feel guilty, but then everyone around her is sending her pitying looks, and she'd be like, no, don't look at me like that. I don't deserve it. Because the whole thing about Minty is that she has a lot of insecurity, and she doesn't think that she deserves good things in life. And that's why she acts the way she does. And that would have been more interesting.
Could you imagine if she sat down at the table and everybody's like, oh, a round of drinks for you gals, on me. And then she looks at the drink and then she flashes back to getting super drunk and missing the dinner and she like knocks the drink off the table. And then she goes, Thetis, you're not my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but no, this is like, again, it's a dumb idea to have the bar lit up with those words. But I think that's exactly what that was supposed to be.
Wow.
It's really dumb.
So you think I was giving her too much credit?
Too much credit.
Wow.
It's not like a dream sequence. It's like, you know, this is somebody who wants to communicate that everybody's mad at Minty because Hades is the best ever, and that's how they treat somebody that they're mad at. And the fans probably thought it was well deserved, but it's really dumb because it's like other people are at that bar, they're gonna be like, who's this for? You know, like, what are you talking about? This is like so juvenile.
It's very juvenile.
So friggin' juvenile.
But anyway, so then Minty says, Hades was right, you're not my friend. Yeah, but it'd be like if somebody slapped Bezos. Everyone would be cheering them on. Yeah. Be like, yeah, go.
Yeah, like
F Bezos.
Elon Musk went into Twitter headquarters with a sink.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. And it's like, you're not funny or charming. No. You're like a disgusting billionaire who has way too much money.
And way too much ego.
Way too much ego, and you're such a narcissist. Like, Hades is such a narcissist. Mm-hmm. He just keeps bringing everything back to himself. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how anybody could feel bad for somebody with that much money and power who has slaves. And
he still wants to collect even more money. Because he wants to get money from the slaves.
Yeah, and he plucked a guy's eyeball out.
And beat him nearly to death.
Yeah, so like it's like the authorial voice, you know?
Hades is a good king because everyone in his land loves him, even though he beats them within an inch of their lives and has slaves.
Not only that, but it's like if everybody loves him, then how come there are so many people lined up to air their grievances with him? If he runs such a tight ship, you know, they weren't going to stand in line for hours to pay him compliments. I can tell you that much. I mean, geez, right?
So then Minty says, "You're not my friend." And there's just like this weird panel where she looks like a Bratz doll. Yeah, like the proportions are really off.
But what's going on with Thetis?
I don't know. The art in general for this chapter is really bad. Episode 104.
Shoulder area is strange.
Thetis is like, you were a nobody, you're a mud-sucking low-class river nymph, which is just like super racist language.
But she's not even drawn with her nymph ears in this panel.
No. She has no nymph ears in that panel.
In like multiple panels in this
I know, the art in this chapter is really bad.
Yeah.
The art in this chapter is extremely bad. And there's like a void. They're supposed to be in the club, but there's just like a single color void behind them. Yeah. There's no effort to put people in the background or anything. So then she leaves and she walks further into the void because there's nothing there.
Yep.
Literally nothing. And then she goes home. But again, she keeps, like, this is when Lore Olympus starts to do the thing where the camera is facing one way and a character is walking one way. And then in the next panel, they'll just completely turn sides. It's very annoying and it's very, like, you're, like, in terms of cinematography, you're not supposed to do that. Keep flipping back and forth perspective-wise.
It's about editing continuity.
It's about editing continuity, and there's a specific word for it when you, like, break the line of sight.
Yeah.
And you flip 180, basically, when, like, for example, it'd be like if in the middle of this video, we just suddenly switched places.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, or we were recording it with the front camera, but if we suddenly switch to the back camera, and it's like, you can see the text on my hat is mirrored. Yeah. Right? And then you flip it all of a sudden, and then it's like, whoa.
That's what I'm saying, like, if you flip, because I'm actually, like this image is backwards.
Yeah.
If you flip the image so that suddenly you were sitting on this side and I was sitting on that side.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's very weird and annoying.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, it's mentally, like, when you read it, it takes you out of reading it. It's jarring.
And again, it's one of the things that you notice when you thumb a comic. You do the roughs.
I do the roughs, and I'm like, okay, I'm showing them from the left side. I'm gonna have them, you know, all of the panels are going to be from the left side.
Yeah.
This just comes off like it was thumbed with like days in
Yeah.
between, and the person thumbing it wasn't looking at their old work.
Right, because it's like, where is the character going? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Right? And everything like that. And it's like, there was no idea. And then she goes back to her apartment. And
then there's a montage of her crying for
Yeah.
multiple days and being very depressed and not eating. And it's like, when we were reading this, I was so mad because I was like, Minty is more distraught and upset over slapping Hades than Hades was being slapped, because that night he was like with Persephone flirting in the garden.
Yeah.
And Persephone had less of a strong reaction to being sexually assaulted than Minty did slapping Hades.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anything, it's just once again makes me feel worse and more sympathetic for Minty than it does for the two main characters of this comic.
What's this line going through Thanatos' wing?
A mistake. It's so, like, the art is so sloppy in these chapters. It's so sloppy, like, shockingly sloppy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me feel bad for Minty. So then she goes out to the balcony to smoke, and that was the previous chapter's end. And then Hades calls her. This was really confusing because she says, "Do you want to come over?" And then he says, "Now, is that okay?" And then they cut to Minty saying, "Yeah, if you don't mind." But it's like, I didn't know that was Minty saying that when I first read that. I thought it was Hades saying, "Do you want to come over?"
I guess the tale of the speech bubble is different.
Yeah, but it's like... Anyway, then Hades comes over to Minty's place. And this shot of the building, like, compare that to when Persephone first entered the underworld. First of all, the perspective is wrong.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, the atmosphere and the detail this is just an asset with red windows.
Yeah.
The level of effort put into it is so much less than that sequence of Persephone going to Underworld Court for the first time.
Not only that, but there's no balconies.
No.
Where are the balconies? Hades, that's the wrong building, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're not at the right building. There's
Anyway,
no balconies on that building.
Then he comes into Minty's place, and he basically says, "I want to break up." And then Minty starts crying. "I don't want to break up. Can we try again? We've tried so many times. Does being with me make you happy?" It doesn't seem to see that. It doesn't appear to be that way. Minty says she's sorry and she doesn't have an excuse. And then Hades says, "I'm not the right person to help you with the stuff that you're working through at the moment. You need to take responsibility for yourself." And then Minty, I guess this is supposed to be bad guy Minty saying, "But I apologize, didn't I?"
Yeah.
But it just seems like totally out of character for her to be acting this way because she was depressed for 3 days. So why is she suddenly acting so, like, on a dime, selfish, and narcissistic?
Yeah.
Can't you see how sorry I am? Do you really want to end things like this? I don't want to be messed up with you. I want to feel loved and safe every day, not sometimes, all the time. And then Minty says, "Do you love her?" And that's the end of the chapter. And Hades' answer, like, ticks me off so bad.
Yeah, and then you also have the weird tonal whiplash in this chapter later, with Thanatos breaking into Artemis' house.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened in the episodes that we read.
Yeah, me too.
It was like SpongeBob. It was literally like that scene in SpongeBob where SpongeBob pulls on the gloves and breaks into someone's house.
Breaks into Patrick's house.
Yeah, breaks into Patrick's house.
The clam burglar.
Yeah. So then he goes, "Do I love Persephone?" And then you have the reappearance of stupid kid Hades screaming more than anything, but it's like, this is so inconsistent. He only shows up like twice, right?
Kid Hades?
Yeah, when he was about
Yeah.
when he was about to get slapped, and then this chapter, but this is 30 chapters later.
Yeah.
It's more than 30 chapters later, and we
Yeah.
haven't seen Kid Hades at all.
What does Kid Hades represent exactly?
I guess his like it's the id, instinctive impulses and primary processes. So it's like his deepest, like, first impulse that he lies to himself about instead of the, like, ego, superego, his, like, reasoned instincts and reasoned responses.
But then what's the masculine panic?
I don't know.
What's all of the internal moaning?
Yeah, exactly.
What is that?
How come he's not talking to kid Hades all the time?
When he's monologuing.
Yeah, when he's monologuing. Or, like, whenever he thinks about Kronos. How come Kid Hades doesn't show up when he's giving Persephone the tour? It's just internal moaning.
Because that's creepy. That's creepy. Even though Kid Hades looks like more on Persephone's
Yeah,
speed
seriously.
than adult Hades.
And then he says, as much as you can love someone you've only known for 2 weeks, which is so annoying. And it makes me think that the only reason there was that time skip from Minty's perspective was to say that it's been 2 weeks.
Not only that, but Hades looks totally different in that panel.
Yeah, he looks totally different in these panels in general. He looks like he came from a shoujo manga.
Yeah.
But I think, so before we cut to Minty and Hades, we have the Ares flashback.
Yeah.
But does that timeline include 3 days?
I guess it does, because this is also when Thanatos breaks into Apollo's house.
I'm so confused.
When Thanatos breaks into...
No, let's go back to Friday. Friday is the day that she
Artemis's
slapped
house.
him.
Yeah.
Friday's the day that she slapped him.
Yeah.
Friday night, that was less than a week after he met Persephone.
Yeah.
And then this is Monday, because it's like Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Or it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's not even 2 weeks.
No.
That's barely a week.
Yeah, so what are you talking about?
So what are you talking about, Hades? It's not even been 2 weeks.
No.
I don't even think I think this is just hitting the rewind button to cover the 3 days that we've already covered with Persephone.
Yeah, but why? Why not just have this take place after?
Because Rachel's allergic to time skips.
Why? Why not just have this happen in the present?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is only a week and a half. Because the Apollo confrontation with the crepes was not on Sunday. We already established that. Sunday brunch was with...
Okay, wait, so when Hades wakes up and he says, I've got to stop what I'm doing with Minty, that is when Persephone's in the kitchen with Ares.
No, it has to be a flashback. It has to be a flashback.
But it takes place in the same chapter.
It has to be a flashback? It has to be a flashback. No, it's a separate chapter. It has to be a flashback because Sunday is Sunday brunch, and then they go to the mortal realm for a day.
No. It's the same chapter because she's talking about how she no longer has alone time, and then you cut to the dream about the kid. It's the same chapter. It's like episode 102. You get back to Hades monologuing because she says goodbye. She's in the kitchen talking about that, and then you cut back to Hades.
Oh, man.
And it's his dream.
So you have...
Right? So when is that taking place? He says, I have to stop what I'm doing with Minty. He already stopped what he was doing with Minty in the past.
No, because... So I know Saturday she went to the pregnancy clinic.
Yeah.
Sunday, Apollo's car was there, but Apollo wasn't there.
Yeah.
No, that was Saturday.
Yeah, that was
Sunday he came over and did the crepes.
Yes.
And then Sunday was also Sunday brunch.
Yes.
But then you also cut to the mortal realm, and they're in the mortal realm for like at least a night. So that's Monday, Tuesday.
Okay.
So I guess this is around the same time. Because after Sunday, she goes straight to Eros' house. And then, but...
It's on Sunday that she goes to
It's
Eros'
on
house.
Sunday that she goes to Eros' house, and then we just cut to Tuesday?
So it's Tuesday when Hades wakes up.
But you're missing 2 days, and Rachel can't do that. She has to go day by day.
No, that's why you cut back to Minty, because he says, I have to stop what I'm doing with Minty, and that's when you show her smoking on the balcony.
Yeah, and that's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you just cut from Ares and Persephone to Minty and Hades, but it's been 2 days.
So then you go back in time to show what happened over those 2 days.
Those 3 days.
Those 3 days.
Because it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. And then you cut back. Now we're finally in the present when they're breaking up.
But then Persephone hasn't been shown since Sunday, because she was making cakes with Ares.
Yeah, what happened to the small cake?
Yeah, what happened to the small cake? But she was making cakes with Ares on Sunday, and then we just cut to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to Minty.
Yes.
Oh my god, okay. And then,
Minty's super buff in one of these panels.
And her neck is like pencil in another one.
Uh-huh.
Minty says, you can't break up with me, and you and your relationship with Persephone, won't work, because, you're a bad guy, and you're gonna disappoint her, and you'll be back, because you and me are the same. And it's true, Hades sucks. I think Minty's too good for him, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think she's problematic, except when the writer wants her to be problematic. And then he says, we're done, even if it doesn't work out with Persephone. And then you reveal that Hades bought Minty's apartment, and he employed her before they started dating. And he says, I'm not going to fire you. It all depends. Prove your apology meant something through your actions. But what does that even mean? If they're not dating, then presumably she has no reason to slap him.
Yeah, side note, that tie is way too small.
I know.
It wouldn't fit the girth of his neck.
I know.
It's like a child-sized
It's like a child's tie. Minty opens the door, and you don't reveal who it is. Wait. No! Oh my god! It's Thanatos, and then you cut back to Friday. Oh my god!
Ah! The time warp!
So it's Thanatos at the door, but you don't reveal. She doesn't reveal that. And then you cut back to Friday and show Thanatos snooping on Persephone, and then he breaks into Artemis's house. But he breaks into Artemis's house, but he's like, he does the thing that they do in cartoons where he like says one sentence, and then there's like hours between him finishing the sentence.
Yeah.
Let me take you for a ride. Or should I say, glide?
I'm just happy you're talking again. You didn't say a word for 45 minutes.
And like he doesn't discover anything in that room. I think the only reason he's there is for Apollo to knock on the door and say, hey, Percy, are you in my room? Or are you in the room? Are you ready to go? I've got a really nice date planned of us. I guess this is a flashback from when he showed up on Sunday and said, I wanted to take you out, but you weren't there.
Yeah,
she was at Hera's.
We both know that there's no plan, because we don't actually get a plan.
No, this is a Seaway.
And then when he actually talks to Persephone, he goes, do you know what I had planned for us? And it had nothing to do with any date or anything. So it's like, no, we never see those messages that he sent her either.
And then you see that Persephone basically lives on candy and chocolate.
Yeah.
But she's like thin. Oh no, he does find a ledger. He finds a ledger in her room.
Yeah.
Persephone isn't who she presents herself to be. I like how she just had all of the evidence written down, not in a cipher, just written in a book for anyone to find.
And his nose is so tiny in
I
this
know.
panel. Like, what's going on with this?
And then Hades takes his 2 dogs to work. Oh, side note, they never showed who picked up those dogs from daycare. So the only 2 dogs here are the tiny one and then Cerberus.
Yeah, those...
All the other ones were dropped off at daycare and they
got,
have never been picked up.
They got euthanized. It's messed up.
Hades looks so weird in this panel.
He looks weird in this one, too.
He looks like a potato veggie-tail.
Oh, man, he's turning into Bob. Bob the tomato. He looks like Eros in that panel.
Yeah. No, he looks like Apollo in that panel.
Ah, Apollo.
I don't know why he goes to work to answer emails.
3,000 emails.
Dude, I don't know why he goes to work to answer emails.
Well, who in their right mind thinks that a CEO just answers emails all day?
No, they do answer. Like, my boss at my corporate job had thousands of emails in his inbox that he never answered.
Yeah.
But he never, like, spent the time to open the emails and answer them because he was like, if it's important, it'll be flagged, you know?
Yeah.
If he had to catch up to work, you know, if he had to catch up to work, he would not be answering emails.
No.
He would be, like, going to meetings or, like, looking at, like, I mean, he would be answering emails, but it'd be like, you know, hey, I just sent over this spreadsheet. Take a look at this data.
Yeah, signing off and approving on things.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Going
It wouldn't
over
just be emails because again, pretty much everyone I've worked for at that level, and they're just like managing directors.
Yeah.
At that level, their inbox is already full.
Yeah.
And they know they're never going to catch up to their emails, so they only look at the like really important ones with the reporting and the data, and then they schedule meetings based on that. But furthermore, why does he need to go to his office physically to answer emails?
He has a cell phone. Like
he has a cell phone,
right?
Yeah. Everyone has emails on their phone now.
Yeah.
And he probably has a laptop that he just takes home with him. Like, I don't know a single person at a high level in a corporation who doesn't take their work home with them and a laptop and drives to work at 4 a.m. to go answer emails. So then, yeah, just more unrealistic workplace stuff.
He's in the void again. And
He's in the void again. He decides to swim. His office looks different every time it shows up. It's really bothering me.
There's no, like, layout.
There's no consistency. There's no consistency. He usually has like a piece of modern art behind him.
Yeah.
But it looks nothing like that. And then in the latest chapters, he has factory windows. And it's like, but I thought he had modern art in his office.
Yeah.
But it looks totally different.
It's strange because you can definitely tell they're using CGI assets. So I don't understand why you wouldn't just make a CGI model for the office so that you can keep it consistent. Because that's what I do.
It's not consistent at all.
If I know that I have a location that's going to be featured multiple times, I just make a quick model and then I use it over and over again. So
yeah, it's really weird, and it's just something that I noticed, and it's annoying me.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just like nitpicking because like there's nothing really good about the art anymore. But anyway, he decides to go for a swim at 6 a.m. And he runs into one of the Furies, and then he also goes like me and Pyrrhic were talking about this before, where it's like for some reason the changing room is behind the pool. Like, there's no changing room in the corner that he changes into a swimsuit before he goes into the pool.
No.
He just goes to the pool area first.
Yeah.
And then Persephone's in the pool, so you cut to him opening the door, and then you cut to Splash, and then he's like halfway in the room before he realizes that Persephone's there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he like no clipped, and the angle doesn't the angle doesn't make any sense either.
No.
And that keeps happening in these later episodes.
Yeah.
Where the angle makes 0 sense.
Right.
And then Persephone shows up, and you have another shot where her butt is literally in the middle of the panel, but it's not even centered. And
she's
then
super tiny.
everyone's like really far away.
Yeah.
The camera's so far away. Half of this panel, not even half, I would say 80% of this panel is empty space.
Yeah, you know, you could have made a really beautiful panel where she's like glowing off of the environment in the pool, since it's in the underworld.
And you could have had like nice stylized currents.
Yeah, refracting water, because there's like the, you know, that texture. It almost looks like a topographical texture that they slapped on the bottom for the water. You could have done something with pink that would have looked really good, but
no, it's not even centered. It's like the composition is so bad. She's just floating in the middle, and 80% of this panel is empty. And then she says, good morning. And then Lily pops up, and we've established by now that plant matter popping up around Persephone is like Rachel being creepy. Emitting a high-pitched whine only dogs can hear. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's like...
these are two, like, adults. Well, I mean, Persephone's like a teenager. But, I mean, this is very...
Hades is supposed to be 45. Then Persephone, you have this, like, creepy panel where she looks like she's, like, 5.
But why is the speech bubble transparent?
I don't know. There's nothing in the panel. The panel is mostly empty. The panel is mostly empty except for a bunch of white, like, streaks coming out of her.
Yeah.
But only her, not in any other part of the water.
Yeah.
So Persephone says this is my first official day of work. But we had... literally episode 35 to like 50 was her at the Underworld Corp. And those are 2 different days because she was wearing 2 different outfits.
And it wasn't orientation.
No, it wasn't orientation.
Because during onboarding and orientation, basically, they park me in a different room, and then they make you watch some training videos, and then they give you a bunch of
but she
modules.
didn't, like, she didn't have a mentor. She didn't have, like, onboarding work to do.
No.
She didn't have anything. Like, it's not like Hecate sat her in a room and said, here's a binder of, like, stuff you should know about.
No.
Olympus.
No photo.
Or not Olympus, Underworld.
Photo for, like, badge access for
no
restricted
computer
areas.
program with videos, like HR training stuff. No, we established that she never signed up with her social security number or her bank account number.
No, I mean, she wouldn't have to because it's unpaid.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that, like, what were those 2 days? Why was she there those 2 days if she wasn't working?
For the tour.
But the tour wasn't even, like, it was like a last-minute substitution for Hades instead of Hecate. It just doesn't make any sense.
There was nothing planned.
And this is, like, Wednesday.
Yeah.
This is, like, Wednesday. And then she's, like, talking really quietly, and she looks like a friggin' child in these panels. And it's so creepy. She sinks below the water. Are you going swimming too? Sink.
That's really strange.
Creepy, giant, friggin' child eyes. Oh, yeah. There's a picture of Hades with his daughter on the Twitter timeline. And she looks exactly like friggin' Persephone. Your theory that she doesn't draw kids, except really derpily, because it would look exactly like Persephone, is like pretty much spot on.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, she's not even drawn like a child.
No.
She's drawn with a wasp waist on long legs.
What? And look at the eyelash from the 3/4 view.
Yeah. She's not drawn like a chubby kid.
No.
With like...
children, like little girls are not shaped like that.
No. It's so creepy. It's so effing creepy.
Get them away from her.
And there's also one where she drew a baby. She's like, I like drawing babies. And the baby's face literally looks exactly like Persephone's face.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she looks like a friggin' baby in this panel.
Yeah.
And then Hades is like, oh, I can't swim in the pool with you because of the boundaries. And she said, it's a pretty big pool. Not big enough, Miss Corey. I can leave. No, don't get out. Please stay. I'm fine. Don't be nervous. You'll do great. How many panels is this? This is so many panels and nothing happens. It's a waste of time. Like, you could have just combined a lot of these speech bubbles could have been combined in a single panel.
Yeah.
And she just keeps, like, extending it out because that was her, like, fan service. It's like, oh, I'm so unmotivated to draw the next chapter. Oh, I know. I'll include a fan service scene, so I'll have fun drawing
it. Wasn't a fan service, though. It wasn't a cute interaction at all.
And then Persephone's, like, exposed as being really stupid and doesn't know how to use... Like, she doesn't say, oh, I've never used a computer before. She's like, this is a totally different computer from the one I'm used to. but it's just a desktop versus a laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that different, man.
And then Hecate says, review the scrolls. Thank Gaia, she's turning it on. I mean, she has a laptop. The on button is the same.
It's the same
It's
symbol.
the same. Like, is Persephone that thick, you know? Oh, our software can be a little daunting for newcomers. It's fairly self-explanatory. All program interfaces are pretty much the same, right? And instead of asking for help, Persephone just, like, fakes that she can perform it.
She's totally unqualified.
She's totally unqualified. And then she tries to suck up to Thanatos, and this is when I was joking that it's like, Persephone, it comes off as extremely manipulative because she seems like she's in the habit of and enjoys using her appearance to get guys to do stuff for her.
Yeah.
And that's what she tries to do with Thanatos, and Thanatos just says, like, shut up. You're not qualified for this job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I liked Thanatos in the beginning, because she clicks on something and gets an error, and then completely freaks out instead of, like, using the internet to, like, Google, you know, how do I use this program? You know, like, again, I've worked in corporate offices. I've used unfamiliar programs before, and what I do is I just Google YouTube videos. There's, like, YouTube videos and everything. I taught myself Power BI in, like, a week, and I was building, like, self-service dashboards within a week. It's not that hard.
No, I mean, I'm not in, like, corporate and stuff like that, or, like, databases and stuff, but I pretty much self-taught myself, like, 10 different programming languages. Yeah. And I learned how to, you know, program to take information from databases. Like, my background's in the hard sciences, but everything is on Google. Everything. I mean, I've never asked anybody for help, especially because it's like, you know, a lot of times in, like, an industry like that, like you know, especially, like, Persephone, this is what I think of, in a place where you're, like, one of the few women who work there and there's lots of guys there, male, like, unwanted attention from guys is, like, the most abundant resource in the universe, right? So it's like, if you want to be left alone, and if you don't want some guy to think you're dumb, you want to prove yourself as capable, you wouldn't be asking for help.
Well, here's the thing. Persephone is supposed to be smart, and we're told that because she won at chess when she played Hades.
And she got great grades.
But the thing for me is, like, the biggest indicator of intelligence for me is problem solving.
Yeah.
And if you can get, like, high marks on test scores, but you're a crap problem solver, then you're not that smart. You're just good at following orders and doing what the teacher wants you to do. If you can't figure out how to work a computer system, which is, like, literally engineered, and usually these programs and these computers are created to be user-friendly because they're meant to be used by people.
Yeah.
If you can't figure it out and you have no, like, your first instinct is to turn to a guy and bat your lashes, then I don't consider you very smart. I consider you manipulative, but I don't consider you very smart.
But what is she even supposed to be doing at this job?
She's just supposed to be doing intake, it looks like. Looking at the scrolls and, like, data entry.
Just writing what the scrolls say?
Yeah, like data entry. Or intake.
So what error did she get exactly?
She probably just tried to use, like, they probably have some sort of proprietary program where it's, like, an intake form or something.
Yeah.
And then she tried to click on a cell that didn't have a value, or tried to input a value into a cell, and then it just errored out because she didn't follow the correct procedure. That's probably what it was.
But then she unrolls the scroll and says, I'm not qualified. If it's just data entry...
And she said, I'll just take notes like I'm used to and work out the program later. But why would you take notes on something that you're meant to enter into a system? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, she's useless.
She's like,
if you're just good at note taking, then you're just, like, useless.
She's a grade A moron.
Yeah, like, if somebody tells you, hey, solve this problem, and you just sit there taking notes, like, you're freaking useless. You're not intelligent, you know?
Yeah.
Like, sorry to break it to you, Persephone, but you're not intelligent.
Yeah.
If you're just gonna sit there and take notes.
Yeah. So then Hecate says, usually we'd expect this amount of scrolls to be done by this time of day, but I have every faith that you'll catch up. And instead of asking Hecate, hey, can you, like, give me some pointers to how to use the system? I thought I'd be used to it, but it's actually difficult and different from what I'm used to.
Do you have a manual or something?
Yeah, do you have a manual? She asks, do you know if Hades is free at the moment?
Yeah, that's her number one concern. And Thanatos is just like, oh yeah, of course you want to see Hades.
Yeah.
So then she goes to see Hades, and she runs into Minty, and then Minty lets her in instead of being a douche, so that's why I don't think Minty's a douche.
Yeah, but then what Persephone does to Minty later is very douchey.
And then we get this, like, really stupid plot point where it's revealed that it's Persephone's birthday, and then friggin' Hades starts crying because he didn't know. He's crying in this panel where he says, huh, when it's revealed it's Persephone's birthday, but he didn't cry when he got slapped by Minty.
No, but let me ask you this. How come Hermes is saying today is kind of a special day? I'm surprised you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why Hermes would say that, because Hermes doesn't know that Hades and Persephone have a thing.
What's special about it being Persephone's birthday?
I'm kind of surprised you don't know Hades.
No, if it's my birthday, nobody I know would say that it's a special day because it's my birthday. It's not a special day, it's just my birthday.
Do you have like a bunch of male friends getting you tons of balloons and cakes and stuff?
I mean, but why would they say the day is special? They would just say, oh, it's Persephone's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the balloons are for. Not, oh, it's Christmas today. That's why I'm wearing this Christmas sweater. Don't you know? No, Persephone's birthday is not a holiday. It's not a special day. It's just her birthday.
It is in the universe of Lore Olympus.
This is freaking stupid.
And
bro.
then, yeah, that him crying and saying, huh, is like the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Which is just like, it's her birthday and I had no idea. Like, more Hades and turtle whining. Shut the F up, Hades.
Why does he look so betrayed?
I don't know anything about her. He's known her for a week. Just ask her when her birthday is. It's not that hard.
Again, like, he's 40.
It's not that hard.
Why is her neck so long in that panel?
Oh my god, it's so bad. It looks like a giraffe neck.
It looks
Holy
like,
crap.
you know, it looks exactly identical, actually, to how she was drawn in the pool.
Yeah.
To how she was drawn in the pool.
Are they recycling panels? I'll have to do investigative research on that.
Yeah, zoom and enhance. And then she says, I don't like to make a big deal out of it. So that's extra weird because it's like, why would Hermes say that it's a big day or a special day if she doesn't like to make a big deal out of it?
If he knows that she doesn't like to make a big deal out of it, why did he get a giant bouquet of balloons?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
in public,
it's not
at
a
her
special
workplace.
day. Yeah, it's not a special day. If she herself doesn't like to make a big deal out of it, why would you do that?
And then Hades says, but it seems like a significant day for you.
It's the first day of Sping.
Yes, Sping. And then she asks Hades to help her untie the balloons, but it's, again, it just comes off as manipulative. It's like she's using every excuse possible to, like, see Hades and, like, get him to friggin' touch her. It's
Why not
so
just
annoying.
use her powers to untie it? Or why not ask
Just find
Hecate?
some scissors. Ask Minty for some scissors.
And look how huge his hands are compared to her hands.
And they're in the void. That office is, like, a complete void.
Yeah, and she's
There's
making
no backgrounds. There's no backgrounds. There's no ambient lighting.
odd expressions.
There used to be ambient lighting. Even when there weren't, like, super detailed backgrounds, there was ambient lighting. Now it's like there's nothing.
And what's that stuff floating behind him? Is that
It's
the
like,
art?
it's supposed to be a piece of modern art, I think, but they forgot it in the past episode. But it's back now. I won't take up too much of your time. I just want to return your jacket. He could have just left it with Minty again.
Why didn't you return the jacket at the pool?
Exactly.
Say, hang on a second, I've got something of yours. Hold it right there.
It's
Let me go get it.
it's because Rachel forgot about the jacket, and she also forgot about the check.
She also forgot about the cake, which is currently collecting mold in
Yeah.
Persephone's house.
Yeah, what's up with the cake?
The small
It
cake.
never came back.
No, it wasn't for like her birthday. Like, hey, it's my birthday. Here's a cake that I made for you.
Here's a
It's
cake
my
that I made
birthday.
for myself.
Yeah.
Because it's my birthday. I always
Exactly.
treat myself to a homemade cake. Is there someone else? The typos are also getting really bad, too.
Is there someone else? Are you dating Hermes?
Exactly.
Is there someone else in your life?
Freudian slip.
Yeah.
The check that you wrote for Hestes Community Center was made out to me. You don't want to cash it for yourself then? Have an extremely lavish weekend?
And he looks like Voldemort.
Yeah,
in
no,
that
this is
panel.
a really out of character panel where he like suddenly looks like the devil and he's like trying to goad Persephone into doing something wrong, but it's like he's never been like the person who like tempts someone into doing something bad. It's just like this just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and
That would have been a more interesting dynamic, but this just came
Yeah.
out of nowhere and he's standing in the void again.
It's a very Aries thing to do.
It's a very Aries thing to do.
But her reaction to it afterward confuses me.
Yeah.
Because she goes like, it's like, why? Why did you do that?
No, why she has like big anime eyes and she's like blushing for no reason.
Yeah, and he looks weird again.
Yeah, he looks weird in most of the panels now. And then this panel where he's doing this looks like it's traced from Let's Play. He
looks like Charles.
He looks like Charles. He looks exactly like Charles, and he's making a Charles facial expression.
Zoom in heads. We gotta find out. We gotta find out.
And his fingers. Look at his fingers. What the F is going on with his fingers?
It looks like a mountain range.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then he just redoes the frickin' check, and then he asks if he can give her a gift. And, I don't know. Look down. And then they have the stupid dog again. Why does the dog keep coming back? The dog is so pointless. It's such a waste of time. How many panels are being dedicated to this dog? There's like 15 panels that are dedicated to this dog.
She says, look at her tiny paw paws. And the dog is drawn with eyelashes.
It looks like the dog from Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
And her facial expressions are disturbing.
Yeah. she goes.
Then they start talking about the dog for no dang reason, and his computer completely disappears.
What's with his expression in this panel?
He looks like a different person. He looks like
Larry the cucumber.
No, he looks like
after
Pepe
drinking.
the Frog.
With the eye shine, yeah.
He looks like Pepe the Frog. He looks like his eyebrows are so thick and his skin is so dark. What is going on here?
Yeah, his eyebrows aren't usually that thick, are they?
And it's so weird when he's like...
I mean, in this panel, he looks kind of Pepe, too, you know, like...
No, in that panel, he
With
just...
the wrinkles around his
I
eyes.
guess, yeah.
Kind of
and he's
Pepe.
cross-eyed, too.
Yeah.
But this one, he especially looks like Pepe the Frog.
It is.
And he looks totally different in the next one.
No, wait for the one after that.
Oh my god! What is going on
His
here?
nostrils.
What is going on
The one
here?
after that.
Oh my god!
They just keep getting worse and worse.
He's like balding with a crooked face. His face is so crooked.
You gotta just put all those panels and be like,
No, you just need to rotate this one by like 10 degrees to straighten out the face because his forehead is like...
He looks like he could put a speech bubble here that said, "What happened to my face?" And he's looking up at his hair. I'm like, oh my god.
No. The art is so bad in this chapter. You need to get a bank account. Mom says banks are run by greedy charlatans.
She looks very strange in that panel.
Her
too.
neck is really long in this panel.
Yeah.
I run the banks. Again, she's as tall as he is sitting down.
Oh, that's so weird, man.
Yeah, what's with her eye?
She's got pink eye all of a sudden, probably from swimming in that dirty,
What is this panel?
dirty pool.
Why is she so big? Like, why is her head so big in this panel?
I don't know.
It's so weird. Persephone doesn't have a bank account. So then Hades threatens his employees to get her a bank account.
Yeah, that was so uncomfortable. When he's like growling at them. He's taller than all the doors, by the way. Like
No, he barely fits in Minty's door.
He barely fit in her door. He's like too tall for all the doors in the universe.
No, but like but that was a very recent phenomenon. That was like in the last 5 chapters, because before that they were never calling attention to how tall he was.
Yeah.
So let's look at average door height. Average door height is 6'8".
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he just grew like a foot.
He's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's like 7 feet tall now. All of a sudden. But he wasn't in previous episodes. He was like 6'4". And now he's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Then they're still in the void, but there's a sofa there now, and they brought the dog. And friggin' arrows just came in for no reason. Happy womb evacuation day, Persephone. And like, what is he doing with Aphrodite?
It looks like he's like putting makeup on her. But
But
they're
why
wearing
did he?
costumes.
Why did he decide to call her in the middle of doing that? It just doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense.
No, it's because he's calling her to tell her about the breakup between Minty and Hades.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How does he know about the breakup?
Probably because they're no longer Facebook official with each other.
No, but like,
but Hades gave her a
no,
friend
but again,
request,
it's the
right?
same thing where it's like not the balloons, the breakup, and then Aphrodite and Ares are not like Aphrodite's like, oh, there was a breakup, and then Ares is asking to speak to Persephone, but it's like it's not like like they were talking and then the conversation came up and he's like, oh, you know what, I should call Persephone.
No,
it's like he just randomly decided to call Persephone in the middle of whatever he was doing with Aphrodite and Ares.
Yeah,
That's freaking weird.
That would be like, it has to be like some kind of thing where it's like you reveal a key piece of information.
Oh
at the
yeah,
most
because
random
the
time.
breakup is revealed at this point.
Exactly.
In time.
So it has to be like if you're watching like Harry Potter, right? And it's Harry's birthday, and Harry is like in his room studying, and then he gets a call from Ron, and then Ron says, "Hey, do you know what a Horcrux is?" And he just calls him.
And then Hermione's in the room, and so is Hagrid. They're like, "I've never heard of a Horcrux before," so it's like, how did this conversation come up, and why is he delivering this piece of information now?
Exactly, like an extremely plot relevant piece of information that you just, hey, Harry, happy birthday. Because, Harry didn't get any letters from his friends or anything, but then they called him to say happy birthday or something, or they sent him a letter. I remember all the Weasleys didn't know how to use phones. And then they call him for the first time or something like that, and be like, by the way, Harry, did you hear about what happened with Azkaban? And Sirius Black? And he's like, what? And it'd be like, why would you do that? This plot-altering piece of information.
Just interrupting the story.
Yeah.
No, it's so bad. It's like she needed her to know that they broke up, but Persephone's too good to read tabloids. They're walking down the street. They pass a cart vendor of magazines because it's New York City.
Yeah.
She looks at the magazines. Front page is breakup of Hades and his, river nymph, side piece or whatever.
Yeah.
Underworld's highest profile couple breaks up. Yeah. And then Persephone would look at it and then look at him in concern, and he'd be like, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You could have literally had that there, and that's why I think these episodes are not written beforehand, because it's like, oh, I just realized she doesn't know that they broke up yet.
Yeah.
But I need to have her bring it up to him, and they can talk about it, but would she know that they broke up? And instead of going in your script and be like, oh, let me just add something to the beginning where they're walking past a cart full of tabloids, and that's when she learns that information. She's like, oh man, I've already drawn half the chapter already. Yeah. I've already thumbed half the chapter. I'm not going to go back and edit it. Because at that point, it does take a while when you're thumbing to put those together, because it's like mentally straining, even if you're just drawing sketches. Yeah. It's like mentally effortful to come up with a sequence of events. So she's like, sunk cost, I don't want to edit my thumbs. Yeah. So let me just have Eros call at this most random point in time in the middle of doing something with Ares and Aphrodite, and like just randomly decides to call Persephone about a breakup.
Yeah.
And it's not even the conversation that they were having.
No.
It's not like Aphrodite was telling him the juicy goss and he's like, oh, let me tell Persephone.
Yeah.
It's just completely random.
Yeah. So their lives just revolve around Persephone,
of course they do.
Obviously.
And then she wanted to end this conversation quickly, so she just had Eros say, did you know that they broke up? And then hang up like one panel later.
Yeah. And
that's the end of the chapter. And then we have this like sequence where she's getting drowned and it just says guilty on it, but it's visually so uninteresting compared to previous episodes.
Yeah.
It's just boring where she gets drowned. You look like you've seen a ghost. You might have, since this is the underworld. Well, I don't know, dude, because there's nothing in the background of any of these panels. They're all just voids.
If I wanted to show Persephone feeling guilty, I would have, if I had planned where she did that act of wrath, I would have echoed the visuals from that, because she must have felt guilty about that too, but evidently she didn't, because she's
never thought about it at once at any point in the story ever.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted Ares to be manipulating her emotions and make her angry, she could get really upset about that, because she's like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that again. I don't like me when I'm angry,
Exactly.
And then you could hint at it without like showing her emotions.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, if I wanted to show her feeling guilty, no, I mean, I think it would have been really interesting, because when you feel guilty, it's almost like you have a pit in your stomach, right? If you showed her, like...
falling through a hole.
Yeah, falling through a hole, or, like, surrounded by dead flowers, or maybe flowers spring up around her and then quickly die in the next panel or something like that, because it's like you feel deflated, like, oh, like a punch to the gut, right?
You could have had her holding the phone away from her ear, and then the words, like, they broke up in her ear.
Yeah.
And then, like, you have that echoed, and then you just have Persephone, one long panel, falling down a black space, and then in the space you have like hints of the act of wrath, like the dead people nailed to the tree, and then like all the bad stuff she's done, and then at the very bottom would be like, oh, and now I've also broken up Minty and Hades, and then you could have Minty's crying face and she feels bad about it.
Yeah, you could have the red from the blood of the people nailed to the tree pooling into a picture of Minty's face.
Yeah.
If the act of wrath was planned, but I don't think it was.
I think she keeps hinting at it because she's like, that's my idea, but she never planned its execution.
No, because the execution was like, what?
Yeah,
really?
she hinted that something happened because she had Demeter and Hermes talking about it, and then she had Ares talking about it too.
Yeah.
But she never planned when she was going to reveal that, and she never planned like breadcrumbing the audience with that information from Persephone herself.
Like what it actually was.
Well, Persephone herself never freaking thinks about it. It's always other characters going, I wonder what happened,
Yeah.
So it's almost like it feels like something that happened to Persephone, and her memory got wiped rather than something that Persephone did.
Yeah.
Like she almost has like no memory of the situation. It doesn't affect her at all.
No.
And then Hades says, I don't want to talk about it. And then he's like, Minty and I are no longer together. Is it my fault? It's not your fault. Of course it's her fault, but it's also Hades' fault. And then every time Persephone gets internal monologue, it's so bare bones.
Very scarce.
Very scarce. It's like the surface thought. Yeah. It's like she's as deep as a puddle.
Yeah. Smooth mirror brain.
Seriously. And then she's doing the paperwork, staring at Hades. All of a sudden she's cross-legged.
She doesn't have any identification. And then Hades gets the red eyes.
Yeah, he starts threatening his employee. Please don't fire me.
That's horrible.
She's the guarantor on Persephone's account, which is just also uncomfortable because he's also her boss.
Yeah.
And the guarantor on her bank account, and he owns the bank account where she has her money. the employee says, how long have you two been together? And then it's a joke where it's like, oh, I'm fired, aren't I?
Yeah, I mean, workers' rights with the state of the world right now and what's happening.
Hashtag me too.
No, I mean, like, in terms of what's happening with how workers are chronically overworked and underpaid, even though they're qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hades is 2,000 years old. He'll never have to, like, go to modern college and bust his butt. He's got
Pay
so
modern
much...
college tuition.
Yeah, so much generational wealth. He'll never have to deal with inflation, and these people are scraping by, and he's, like, a total bully. And it's just...
He has no empathy at all.
I hate him, you know?
He sucks.
It's like an old king lording over people.
Yeah.
And they don't have a fraction of what he's been able to accumulate,
Nope.
and he has no empathy whatsoever, so.
Then you cut to Daphne, which is so, like, the way that they introduced Daphne sucks.
It's horrible.
It's so bad. You just see her in a skimpy swimsuit on TV, and then you cut to Apollo looking at her Instagram and, like, flirting with her. And then it turns out that Hermes and Apollo live together, and it's like, how many of Persephone's quote-unquote best friends don't know anything about what Apollo did to Persephone?
They don't know. But they know about the breakup, and Eros knew about the birthday.
No, Hermes knew that Hades and Persephone were an item, because he's like, I'm surprised you don't know.
Yeah.
But then he goes home to Apollo, and he's like, oh, did you and Persephone have a fight? So he thinks that Apollo and Persephone are in a relationship.
Yeah. So
but then he's also like, I'm surprised you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, what does Hermes think is going on here?
Just shut up, Hermes. Just shut up.
It's like, he believes that Apollo and Persephone are in a relationship, so then why would he tell Hades, I'm surprised you don't know?
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
And then the thing that's weird, full transparency, I just wanted to say Persephone loved the balloons. I don't want to rub it in or anything, just thought you should know why.
Because he thinks that Apollo and Persephone are in a relationship.
But why would he say that? Is he trying to get with Persephone too? Is that why he says that?
Did Apollo give Persephone the balloons?
I don't know, because Eros says Hermes wouldn't stop talking about the balloons. He acted like he invented balloons. So it was Hermes' idea, because that's how Eros found out that it was Persephone's birthday, because Hermes was bragging about the balloons.
Yeah.
So it was his idea to get the balloons.
Yeah.
So is he trying to get with Persephone? And that's why he's bragging
And then
to
Apollo says, we're in a fight right now.
Yeah.
I guess he's bragging to Apollo because he thinks he scored a point with Persephone. Because he has a crush on Persephone too.
Oh, I'm so confused.
Then Thanatos shows up. Hermes, the poor man's version of you, is here. I'm happy to see you finally took up my offer to come over and hang out. And then Thanatos plays...
looks extremely goofy in that
I know,
panel.
he looks really bad in that panel.
Yeah.
Then he plays video games with Hermes to get information on Persephone.
But why would he do that when he already thinks that Apollo is dating Persephone?
Yeah, I know.
Why not talk to Apollo?
Why not talk to Apollo? Because Apollo was the one who showed up at night.
Yeah.
And knocked on our door.
And then he goes, oh, she's dating Apollo? Like, you made him think that. Why would you make him think that if you're not going to use that later?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he could even say, like, she's dating Apollo, but she's trying to get with Hades. That's messed up. Let me tell Hades.
Yeah, let me use that as blackmail.
Exactly. I mean, why would you make him understand that information and react to it if it's not going to have any effect on the story at all?
Because she doesn't plan the story out.
I mean, yeah, geez.
Then,
do you think the video game console is a pomegranate?
Thanatos says, I did a soul audit. I noticed there was a large intake of souls in the mortal realm shortly before Persephone moved to Olympus. And this is what Demeter bribed Hermes for. And then, a word to the wise, don't F with things you shouldn't be effing with.
What does that mean?
And he was standing up and then, like, facing him, but then all of a sudden he's on the couch right next to him.
Yeah. So he pretty much just crawled. I mean, for that to be possible, he's got to be, like, straddling his lap.
I don't know what's
Pretty
going
much.
on. And then Thanatos looks like a baby again in the next panel.
It's so unfortunate. He looks like Hera in this panel. And then Apollo's outside in his car all of a sudden.
No, and Apollo, like, how did Apollo know that he wanted to get dirt on Persephone? Was he just standing there listening?
like behind, like...
No, he stood there listening to Hermes and Thanatos talking, and then he snuck out to his car and waited for Thanatos to pass him.
It's like the bar all over again. It's like in Oblivion when you go to the Shivering Isles, there's that guy who goes, you, yes, you, I need to talk to you.
Over here! Yes, you. We need to talk. Yes, you. We need to talk.
And he follows you around and does that. And you're just like, what do you want? And then he goes, oh, I need you to do this quest for me. But he won't stop saying it. It's very much like, how convenient, right?
No, it's like everyone, when there's like a POV character, everyone in the world revolves around that character.
I mean, you could have avoided this weird, convoluted thing where it's
by
like,
just
how
having
did Apollo know?
You just have Thanatos ask Apollo
Exactly.
when he shows up at that apartment,
And then Apollo...
and then Hermes can overhear them and be like, "Don't F
Exactly.
with what you don't know," or whatever. And then Apollo would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way to go visit Helios. Come with me if you want to get dirt on Persephone."
Yeah.
You didn't need the whole sequence of Hermes playing video games. It was pointless.
Yeah.
And then if Helios is the one who spills the beans about the act of wrath, then how come Apollo wasn't the first person to know?
Yeah, because later when Zeus is looking for Persephone in the mortal realm, he's
Apollo's like, "I want to marry Persephone."
He's like, why are you looking for Persephone? She's missing. Why is she missing? I don't know. Goodbye. Oh, hello. How are you today? I'd rather not talk about it.
It's so bad. Everyone acts so different from episode to episode. Their motivations make no sense. Like, we'll watch them gain a crucial piece of information, and they have no reaction to it. For like 10 episodes, I have no reaction to it. What happened to the cake that she was baking with Ares? What happened to that cake?
Sitting in her room moldy.
Oh, caution. Content warning.
Yeah, this is odd.
They drive to see Helios. I thought we were going to see Helios. And then Apollo kicks him out of the front seat. But this doesn't even look like the inside of a car. It's just a bunch of blocks.
Yeah.
And then he said, "I'll need some eye candy with me." And then he has Daphne come along with him.
Why does he need eye candy to go to work?
I think he just wants to start dating Daphne. But then he also tries to sign a marriage permit for Persephone. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the only reason is because Daphne and Thanatos end up becoming an item later.
Yeah,
right?
That's it.
And anyway, you could have introduced Daphne here. You didn't have to introduce her with the Instagram post.
No, you could have just had Apollo already invite her.
Yeah.
And just introduce her character that way.
Yeah.
She doesn't need like a deep backstory.
No. There's a lot of detail on her render, except she has no hands.
Yep.
So that's distracting, because it's like, you can tell like her chest area, a lot of time was dedicated to that. Same thing with her waist
and
her
hips.
jeans. Yeah. But she's got no hands. So that's interesting.
Nice to see where the effort goes.
Yeah. Recycled panels again.
Yeah, there's a lot of recycled panels. The entire inside of the car is just terrible.
Yeah. It's a golden chariot, but it's like the color of pee on the inside.
No, but I mean, like, why are the seats like blank in that panel? It's distracting.
It's very distracting, especially because the background is white. It's just a cutout.
It is a cutout.
Like somebody took a bite.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And then Daphne and Apollo are taking pictures.
None of them are wearing seatbelts either.
No. And then Daphne looks exactly like Persephone. I guess that's the reason why Apollo wants to date her. And then Thanatos, I guess, has a crush on Daphne, which would mean that he also thinks that Persephone is really attractive. Which is like, oh, of course.
He says that later to Helios.
All of these panels are literally head-on.
Where'd you get the golden laurels from?
I don't know.
That you put on his head.
Appeared.
Where was she keeping them?
And then Dusk shows up and says Helios is in a terrible mood. Go talk to him. Blah blah blah.
Hey, Dusk has a cool character design.
Yeah, bald.
And I like his attitude.
Yeah.
I'm tired and I'm dirty. I don't give an F.
And then Helios, of course, asks about his mom and like starts talking about how hot his mom is.
Yeah.
He asks about Persephone. What does she look like? And then he starts talking about Rhea and how attractive Rhea is, and that Persephone basically looks exactly like Rhea, which is just like unfortunate implications. Again. Oh, I hate Demeter. She sucks. That woman. Helios says what Persephone did that day is like nothing I've ever seen before, which is like, ugh. Persephone's act of wrath.
Yeah, which was never
built up.
Really.
Never built up.
And he said it's nothing like I had seen before, so I was like, oh, this is interesting, but then when you actually see it, it's like,
it's like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
I think there's more panels in the Act of Wrath chapter dedicated to her fighting with Demeter.
Yeah.
Than there's the actual Act of Wrath.
And the part where she goes to the slaves to give them coins, it's so dumb.
Persephone's stupid, dude. Like, they tried to show that she was smart with the chess scene. That was like one instance of intelligence. Every other scene after that and before that, she's like dumb as a friggin' rock.
Yeah.
Like the scene where she goes to give money to the Shades, the scene where she doesn't know how to work a computer and doesn't know how to like figure it out. Like, she's so stupid.
In this next panel, in this chapter, the first panel, she has a slice of cake with a candle in it.
Yeah.
What's that from?
That's from, it's the same day as her birthday.
So who gave her the cake?
The cake was, I guess, brought in for her birthday. I don't know.
Is it the cake that she made?
I don't know.
Is that the cake? Is
It's
that
never
the mini
explained.
cake?
Never explained.
And she's got a floating hand, which is looking at that.
And then Megara shows up.
And the error, the field error null, is not even correct, like,
No.
syntax at all, so...
She waited for everyone to leave, and then she goes to freaking Tartarus, and it doesn't look anything like how it did in episode 40-something, when it actually looked really nice.
Yeah.
Tartarus just looks like a void now.
It's very blurry, too, because that was a small panel that was, like, scaled up big time.
It's also an asset, I think.
Yeah, it's an asset. Yeah, definitely an asset, yeah.
Yeah, it's an asset that's very blurry, and the entirety of Tartarus, this is a repaste from episode 40-something.
Yeah, with the floating pillars.
Yeah, repaste. It doesn't look anything like that otherwise. It's just complete void. Just total void.
So these coins, that's the currency of the real life of Lore Olympus, right? And that's her money.
No, I think that's the currency that the Shades use to get across the river, because they use, like, credit cards and stuff.
Where'd she get the coins from?
I don't know.
Okay. Like...
Her cloak is totally different. A totally different color in this panel.
Yeah.
You can finally get on the boat. And then she gets mobbed by the Shades.
What was the point of Cerberus trying to stop her?
I don't know, it was stupid. This whole thing is stupid.
The Shades trying to mob her is like, poor people suck. You know?
No, the Shades mobbing her is like a good deed. Every good deed, no good deed goes unpunished. Where it's like, why would you try to help poor people if they'll just like maul you to death for everything you have?
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's like Persephone tried to help poor people, and it's like, oh yeah, then they almost killed her. Because why would you try to help poor people?
And
they're evil.
What's she doing here? Trying to grow a little plant?
I guess.
I mean, she was able to grow a tree and protect herself when she was in Tower 4, but here she's going, come on, and a tiny little sprig pops up.
It's because she just wanted to have Hades save her. She just wanted to have another, and the plant is gone in the next panel, but she just wanted to have another scene where Hades saves her. But it's like, unlike Tower 4, which was actually visually interesting, this is just void panels. So many panels of the void.
Were those things in Tower 4 supposed to be the same shades?
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
Why did they look so different?
Because that was harder to draw.
It was much better looking, though.
I know. And then she has a space heater.
Horrible.
There's a lot of zoomed in panels with really poor pixelation. This is another zoom in panel. Another one.
And she's sitting on an Eames chair asset. Space heater's an asset. I mean, it would have been much more visually interesting to have a large roaring fireplace.
I know, right?
Are you mad with me? Please say something. I thought we agreed you'd stay away from the beach. It's not safe for you. Is the implication that she was mobbed because she's a fertility goddess? Or
That's what he said after they went to Tower 4.
And she is actually a fertility goddess, right?
That's what they said. He said, if you're a fertility goddess, people might, like, be handsy with you, and the Shades don't like you because you're a fertility goddess.
Yeah, that would have been more interesting if she tried to give them the coin and they reacted with fear instead of acting like a bunch of poor people.
Just mobbing her for extra coins. Yeah, no. It would have been interesting if they slapped away the coins.
Yeah.
And then they just started attacking her.
That would have been much more interesting.
Because then it wouldn't have just been like, oh, they're poor.
Yeah, it's like
instead of like, instead it would be like they're attacking her like she's a threat.
It's like the scene from Jurassic Park 2 with the little girl feeding the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
It's like poor people are savages.
Seriously.
They're savages.
Give them an inch and they'll take a mile.
And he goes, you are an enigma. How can you be so open but hold so many secrets?
Because her brain is a puddle. It can only hold one thought at a time.
Now would be a great time to ask, what was Apollo doing at your house? And we've met before. What's that about? Those are two things where he said, Hades has actually remarked on those two things and said, what's that about? And he's not
Yeah,
asking.
he never asks. He's so bad at communicating.
Instead he says, Goddess, you hurt me. Oh, you. Everything's about you. You
Seriously,
narcissist.
it's so obnoxious.
If you wanted to go there so badly, I would have come with you.
Oh my god, this zoom in panel is painful.
Yeah. And she says that she wanted to give coins to the Shades. And then
Their
he
only
says,
crime is not having money. I have systems in place for a reason. What reason? It's a tradition. Hades is so stupid.
Oh, I just remembered what this is building
I know,
towards.
it's so bad. And then Hades says, you have no idea how hard this role is. I don't deserve unsolicited criticism.
And then he quickly flicks away the unsmoked, parentheses, cigarette.
Seriously. Where do you even get this stupid cigarette from?
Where was he keeping it?
Yeah. Why would you care what I think? Because I want you. Oh my god, the next panel's really You get 5 panels of them holding your hands and only smash cut to them kissing.
No, this panel, you can tell it was drawn first.
It was drawn first.
And then this panel was drawn after.
That was the first thing drawn in this episode because it has the most detail. Everything else is just building up to that, and everything else is poorly drawn in comparison.
That, but the motion, like the movement, doesn't.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It
doesn't follow. It just feels like a smash cut. That's what I'm saying. It's funny.
And how come he doesn't say because I like you or because I love you? He says I want you.
Because she's an object.
Now, I tell you what. I like you, and I want you. Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
You don't like or love an object. You just want to claim an object.
Oh, capitalist Hades.
Acquire an object. And then she turns into butterflies. But that never happened either. In the previous episodes, when she was like overcome with emotion, she like burst into a bunch of plants. She never turned into butterflies. So why is she turning into butterflies all of a sudden?
Why does he look like he's anamorphing into a lizard in that panel?
No, he looks more like a bird man.
Look at his arm.
Oh, look at
Look
at his stork nose.
Is that a bicep? I mean, jeez.
And then look at the Muppet ears. The Muppet ears are really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just turns into a bunch of butterflies. Even though in previous panels, in previous episodes, it would just be a bunch of plants. And now she's turning into butterflies.
Okay, so you made it to the end of the video. Unfortunately, again, we could only cover 10 episodes. Because as we get deeper into it, there's just so many things that stick out. Not so much in terms of like missed opportunities, but just pure like confusion.
Yeah, because the
bewilderment.
Like at this point, it's like how can you even rewrite it based on what's happened?
Yeah.
Because we're past the setup phase. Now we're in the execution phase, and the characters keep stumbling upon information or like plot points keep getting introduced, and then nothing happens with it. It's not executed. It just lies there for 30 episodes until like the stick comes and pokes it. It's like, oh yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, the things of note that stick out in this discussion were definitely confusion with the timeline.
Oh
I mean,
my god.
There's a lot of jumping back and forth, which was completely unnecessary. And then noticeable degradations in the art quality.
Oh, the art. Yeah, the art's definitely, I would say the art quality now is closest to the art that we started seeing in episode 101.
Yeah, and so obviously, like, it's difficult to put out a comic where you have to do it every week, but you know what helps with that is consistent planning and thumbnailing and sketches. And that's the third thing that we noticed is that it's very clear now there are things happening where it's like you didn't plan that at all, like interruptions in the story because things are just remembered.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously being made up as it goes along, especially in this part. And then huge character inconsistencies.
Well, not even character inconsistencies. There's nobody keeping track of information that characters know when, like what information they know when, and what they do with that information. So, like, at least 3 people know about the Act of Wrath at this point.
Yeah.
It's like Ares, Demeter, Hermes. None of them are doing anything with that information. Eros knows about the assault, not doing anything with that information. Hera knows about the assault, not doing anything with that information. Like, there's so many characters who have so much information, they're not doing anything with it. And, like, Apollo should have known about the Act of Wrath because he friggin' works with Helios and he has beef with Persephone.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know.
Let's also not forget that it's revealed that Hecate knew the whole time about the Act of Wrath.
Yeah. The Act of Wrath, and she knew that she was a fertility goddess. In the latest episode, she revealed that she knew the whole time that she was a fertility goddess. And she even says, like, Demeter asked me to look into it, but I couldn't be bothered.
Why would you put that into the story when it's painfully obvious that that's just not the case?
It's a total retcon.
It's just being made up. So at this point, at this rate, we will definitely try to push past the next 20 episodes to get that 30 done in the next episode. But yeah, at this rate, it's going to be several more videos to get through to catch up to the current timeline. So
maybe we can just skip the entire trial. I don't want to read it.
We'll read it, and then we can just, like, put some notes down for what we notice instead of going panel by panel. Because, honestly, like, going panel by panel and chapter by chapter, it's taking a lot longer than we want it to. So, just for our sake and for your sake.
The reason it's taking a lot longer for this batch of 30 episodes is because I forgot what happened. I had to, like, I was reading it as I was going along because I forgot what happened. Because these episodes are so, like, random and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
That I just completely forgot. The only thing that stood out to me was, like, the Act of Wrath was revealed and it was terrible. And then Persephone disappears because Zeus finds out and then sends a warrant for her arrest.
The whole montage of people looking for her.
Yeah. It's horrible.
So painful.
It's horrible.
Okay, yeah,
So,
we'll get to that. We'll give you guys our exact thoughts on that in the next video.
Yep.
But for now, thank you for watching. Thank you for checking it out, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep.
So.
See ya.